I've been talking to myself again, but it's the only way.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to NUFC Matters, the home of the 5-minute rant or the fans forum, whatever you want to call it. I think it all depends on the result each week. Regardless, we are back, and Chris is back. The boys are back together again after a few weeks absence. So first and foremost, most importantly, Chris, how you doing?
Very good, mate. Yeah, feeling much more like myself now. Obviously, I was back on loaded last week, and yeah, I've been really. Do you know what? I've really missed doing this show with you, Pete. So, really pleased to be back. And obviously, just a massive again for anyone who hasn't seen it, a massive thank you to everyone who's been, like messaging me and checking I'm okay, and like the concern's been really nice. I am feeling much better. I probably I probably wasn't as bad as what some people thought. I was just basically just a terrible man flu. So yeah, I'm feeling much better now, and yeah, eager to start talking all things Newcastle like we always love doing.
Well, it's great to have you back, and
Cheers,
yeah,
mate.
we're going to get straight into it. We are not going to mess around, talking all things NUFC, and it's clear, very clear in the green room that we have lots of people that are not messing around either, because there are a lot waiting to get into it. But look, before we get started, it's the first time I've had an opportunity to properly talk on NUFC matters since the big game at the weekend. So look, we went down to the Olympic Stadium without Alan Maximin, which was the bombshell Saturday morning. And I think for a lot of people, certainly on social media, all hope was lost. But the boys have dug out a fantastic performance, in my opinion. And we're very, very unlucky not to get beat. But look, just from your perspective, Chris, what are your overriding thoughts now, sort of like 48 hours after the game?
Yeah. Do you know what my feeling, Pete, since the full time whistle has always been, I was really pleased with the performance. I mean, people have already highlighted how nice was it to have the majority of possession. When I say the majority, I know it was only just over 50%, but we had the lion's share, the majority of the possession. And we've gone away, and this is what some people have to stand back and take into consideration. We've gone away to a West Ham side who are currently fighting for the top four. We've put in a fantastic performance, and we've kind of walked away and thought, you know what, we could have had the 3 points there, and that's the most pleasing thing. I mean, we're now 6 games unbeaten, and yeah, we could have had the 3 points. We really could have. But to go away, I mean, Pete, I always say this, I do, but to go away from home and get a point against anybody isn't a bad result. But to do it against a team who are up that the right end of the league is absolutely fantastic. I mean, West Ham have been putting in some fantastic performances this season, and they've been putting some really good teams to the sword. Yet when the full time whistle went, I was tinged with a little bit of disappointment, and I thought, bloody hell, we could have won that. But then on the other hand, I thought, hang on, let's not be greedy. We're playing really well. We're missing some key players. Like you say there, we were missing St. Maximin. We're missing Wilson. We then missed Trippier. So I look at it and I just think, wow, take us back a few months and it's night and day, isn't it? The players are really responding well to Eddie Howe. We're on the right path. I think are we 4th or 5th in the current form league table? We're absolutely, we're absolutely flying, really are. And we've got our next game now. I'm looking forward to Brentford away, and I'm thinking again. Some people might not like this, but I'd take a point. I really would. I want to win. Don't get me wrong. I do want to win, and we're more than capable of winning. As you know, Pete, I predicted a loss against West Ham because I just thought, and that was with not knowing St. Maximin wasn't fit. I probably would have said definite loss at that point, but a point away from home against anybody, it's a good result. And then I think we follow that up with Brighton at home. As long as we keep racking these points up, Pete, I tell you, we're getting nearer and nearer to safety. Really are. What was it like for you anyway, Pete? I want to hear from you because you were there, weren't you?
Yeah. Look, there's a reason why I've avoided West Ham games over my 30 years of supporting Newcastle. and it was kind of all proven, really, in my experience at West Ham at the weekend. I won't go into too much detail because I could be talking for a while, and we've got people waiting to come onto the chat. But it was lovely stadium on the outside, dog awful on the inside. It is an absolute shambles of a football stadium. It really is bad. I thought the Newcastle fans were fantastic. We were brilliant, even though we were separated into two. There was a lower tier, an upper tier. There's a huge gap in between, so you can't get the type of atmosphere you would be accustomed to at a normal away ground, where you're all together and you're all chanting. From my perspective, I was disappointed that we didn't get 3 points. I was kind of relieved at the end, because when you're in 60, 70 minutes, you're going, come on, we can win this. But then when you get into the 82, the 85 minutes, you're thinking, I don't want us to lose this. I'll take a point right now. And the guys that I was around, they were like, we were looking at each other saying, take a point. We're going, yeah, we take a point. At this stage, even though we never really looked like losing the game, even though we were still pressing and we could have won, and there's a couple of guys behind us going, we should go for the win. Towards it, I think it was like 90th minute, Joe Linton had the ball out wide on the left, and we were going into the corner, just hold the possession. And guys behind us going, no, go for the win. And I agreed with them. In my mind, I'm agreeing with you, thinking, we should go for the win. But at the same time, I'm thinking, every point's precious, and like you've just said, going away to fourth in the table at the time, West Ham, who we outplayed and made look a really poor side. You're thinking, we could beat them, but I'll take a point in the end. But some unsavoury scenes at the end, spot by the West Ham fans. We were in the upper tier, so we were right next to us. Didn't hear a peep from West Ham the whole 90 minutes, apart from when they scored. Didn't hear a peep from them. But at the end of the game, they all started to pipe up, all throwing stuff into our stand. And the shocking thing about it is all the guys that were doing it were like in their 50s, 60s. Throwing hats over, throwing shoes over, and all sorts, climbing over, pushing away stewards. It was embarrassing. I caught a little bit of it, and I showed you a little bit on Loaded. I didn't capture everything that happened. It was really, really embarrassing, and it was the same on the way out as well, because I wasn't with the travelling from up north on the coaches, so I had to kind of deviate and went and ended up walking out as we separated from the away fans with the home fans. And I wasn't alone. There was lots of other Newcastle fans, some with some parents with young kids as well. And some of the comments that we were getting from West Ham fans, I'm talking 40s, 50-year-olds that were making comments with their wives linked to their arms, and they're letting go of their wives, and they're going for it just because. And all it was is because Newcastle fans were singing, not against West Ham, but just singing because we were happy because we got a point. You're going on like you won the league. And they're letting go of their wives, and they're giving all this, and their wives having to pull them back. And honestly, it was embarrassing. It was embarrassing. It felt like it was back in the 90s and the 80s with the way that they were going on. It was really, really bad. That was just kind of it just made me think, you know what? There's a reason why I've avoided West Ham, because they've always had a stereotypical view of them as a fan base. And I've always thought, maybe it's not like that. I know a couple of West Ham fans up in Leicester, and they're really, really sound. But it was embarrassing to see how they went on at the end of the game. But look, that aside, great point. We move, we go on to Brentford, where, if we get 3 points, our season and their season gets switched on its head. Absolutely. It's a massive, massive game.
Absolutely.
So we keep moving. We keep moving along. But look, I'm going to stop there because, like I said, we've got lots in the chat ready to go. And guys that are watching, you're in for a treat again. Be prepared. Take a deep breath, because the main man's here. Here he is. How are you,
Jeff? Oh, he's on mute.
Oh, he's on mute. Jesus Christ.
Sorry, being an idiot. Right. First thing, is Alan waiting? Good. Got to take some time then. Hey, we started with 2 short corners, Pete. Two of them in a row. Where was the last time we had short corners?
I have no idea.
You told me it was...
yeah, West Ham.
Yeah.
West Ham. Yeah, and we scored from them. We scored from them.
Listen, you see. Yeah. Cunning plan. Two
Good
in
man.
a row. Kraft was good. Long throw. Very useful. That was a new trick. I enjoyed that. Well, he did get isolated eventually.
You talking about the one that was a foul throw? Is that the one?
Yeah, that was good. Yes.
Yeah.
Well, he got booked for it last week. Yeah, but we got a lot of big guys now, so that long throw is quite useful. I'm trying to pick the positives out of this. Also, did you see Dubravka dropping balls onto Wood's chest? Right? Absolutely perfect. His distribution was really good. And Shaw was dropping them in there. Everybody was dropping them onto Wood. It was very good. We've got lots of ways of getting up the field now. I thought Burn, Targett were excellent. Very good all round.
Yeah.
But they did insist on tacking down that side, didn't they? They were... There's Kraft on the other side, man. Bowen's trying to get past those two. Not a chance. I wouldn't swap Wood for their guy. He was hopeless. No pressing. Do you see the Dubravka not pressed at all? It was pathetic.
Yeah, didn't have a good game.
And we had them from the beginning, I thought, because with the three of our guys pressing them against their 2 centre backs and the goalkeeper all the way through. Right? They couldn't just take a kick or anything. It was really had them. I wasn't worried at all. And it was a bit of a shame we didn't win, but whoa. That's the fourth miserable manager in a row. I mean, because Moyes looks like he's having some sort of seizure when he tries to smile anyway. But that was.
Were you happy with the point, Jeff? Were you happy with the point Saturday?
I'm more than happy with the point. They're 20 points ahead of us, man. 20. Read them, We're talking about them being Champions League, very good. They've got no excuses. We outplayed them. We spoiled their game. And that's the interesting thing about what's going on, is that we're playing counter-attacking football in their half, right?
Yeah.
Gives you a hell of a chance. And all the best teams, all the real tippy-tappy teams, are very good out of possession. It's their ball and they want it back, and they make your life really difficult. That's the secret of the really good teams. So let's hope our tappy-lappy football is going that way. I'm naming that term now. So, what was it like being there? Were you happy?
I was happy to. I'm always happy to be in the away end. There's no better feeling than being in the Newcastle United away end. Like you just asked Chris, we when me and Chris get to games together, we are absolutely buzzing when we get into that away end. And there's no better feeling than being surrounded by Newcastle fans chanting, singing. At one point, we were kind of singing to each other, so we'd come out with a song at the top end, and then they'd come out with a song at the other end, and then we'd hit back with another one, and we were providing our own entertainment because there was nothing going on in the home end. It was embarrassing, but great to see. And the one thing I'll say is the point that you've made. It was like the fact that we were playing counter-attacking football in their own half, was fantastic to see, because we never played that high up, or we certainly didn't under our previous manager and owner. So it was such. I don't know what you guys felt watching it on TV, but for me, I felt really relaxed watching the game.
No, absolutely.
I was never worried at any point, even at 1-0 down. I was never really worried, and that's that. I just felt relaxed watching them, and I'm normally quite sort of nervy, like watching Newcastle, particularly away from home.
Yeah, well, I was perfectly relaxed all the way. Even when they scored, that felt like an accident, right? And I was going for. I felt we were going to get 2-1.
Right, it was. Yeah.
And it was. We were spoiling their game. They couldn't get themselves into action. And I said to the fans, the first thing I wrote down, I think, was follow United. I could hear that right at the beginning. And every time somebody was lying on the ground for 4 minutes, you could hear Blaine races ringing out. Yeah. It was great. What a dead place. Whoa. No. Anyway,
Jeff, I wanted to ask you something, Jeff. What's you were talking about lying down there? What's your thoughts on? I know a lot of fans are saying at the moment, like our shithousery levels have really gone up recently. And you'll notice that through games, obviously we saw Dan Burn with the challenge on Bowen, the unnecessary challenge on Bowen, which everyone loved, by the way. And then I've also noticed that, especially more so in the last 2 or 3 games, there seems to be very calculated pauses in play, should I say? So when perhaps we're under the cosh a little bit, it feels like one of the players goes down. Like I forget who it was, but someone went down with cramp. And when I was looking at the player, I was thinking, "You haven't got cramp. You could tell you never had cramp." Yeah. How do you feel about that, Jeff?
It's game management. Yeah. When they had momentum, all sorts of things happened. VAR doesn't help. Then somebody goes down during VAR. Then somebody crawls off the edge of the pitch and it come back. There was all sorts going on. I mean, last week was brilliant. A couple of people went down in the crowd off the ball, and that caused all sorts of problems. And the crowd had already, could mark a player out the game sometimes just by harassing them. No, the game management's getting very good. There's a lot of intelligent things going on. Lots of different ways of getting up the field now. And if you look at the lineup, okay, everybody would say, "Oh, well, get rid of Wood and have Wilson in, and we could perhaps have Dummett in and Fernandez, and we're back to Bruce's team." That could have been a Bruce lineup. If you take those 3 people out, right? That could have been a Bruce lineup. And that was nothing like a Bruce performance. No. It was played in their half of the field mostly. We're pressing them. And that's what's annoying people, is they can't get their game together. The goalkeeper can't kick out properly, ends up in touch. It's hopeless. And it's working really well because we're stopping them playing. There's about one sort of general thing I would like to say, is that the players are doing what they're told, right? They're not necessarily very good at it. Like Kraft, he was being quite enterprising. He was trying to make the overlaps. He was doing the sort of things you'd expect of him. He's just not that good. Murphy, the same. Not all of his passes are that good, but at least he's trying to. He's getting into the positions and he's doing what the manager wants. That's all he can do. Right. And unfortunately, he's not necessarily got the best skill set in the team, but the manager's put him there and he's doing what the manager wants. So let's get behind him. We can't expect everyone to be, Mo Salah. And it's really strange. I'm still noticing that it's like we're in I felt like I'm in a quiet carriage on a train with Mitch, right? And we're shushing people because they're fiddling with their phones and they're going, what's happening? We're going to miss this connection. Oh, what's happening? Calm down, look out the window, enjoy the journey, right? Stop worrying about these other teams. Stop worrying, a lot of them are finished anyway, as far as I'm concerned. We're going somewhere and we don't have to worry about going down. I mean, I wrote that down, a valuable point for a club trying to stay in the division. I don't think we're trying anymore. I think we've made it, to be quite honest. If you carry on doing that, because that was a fantastic performance against a team that's, away against a team like West Ham. Oh, it was very good. We really wiped the grin off Moyes' face, and I'm very pleased. Yeah. So you pleased with it?
Delighted, mate. Delighted, Jeff. As I said before, for me, any point away from home's decent. I know some people would argue that, but I firmly believe that, and especially nowadays, Jeff, with the kind of atmosphere we have at St James's, it is slowly becoming a fortress again, and no club will want to come to St James's Park and play against us. If we carry on going away from home and getting points here and there, it all just adds up to the total. I know I sound a little bit like Bruce there, don't I? But it really does. It's so important that we keep picking points up. And do you know what? As well, it's leading us in to the next game. So now we're looking at it and we're thinking we're 6 games unbeaten here. Let's just not let's not get beat today. And that's the attitude I want to see as well for Brentford. We might not get the rub of the green. It might not be our day, but if we can come away with a point, it keeps that momentum going.
Well, if I can see an improvement, because what it is a series of problems. Almiron is a problem, right? And he did come on and we saw him do a bit of his stuff and he was pressing very well and doing what he does, buzzes about a bit. And all of the players are sort of problems that need solving and he's getting around to solving them all. The first one he solved was Joe Linton, who's just, every game he gets better and better.
Yeah,
he's extraordinary.
He's
Who would you swap him for in midfield?
ridiculously good in the middle, Jeff.
I mean, I don't really care that he's not very good in front of goal.
No.
Right? It doesn't matter. So I just look at it as a series of problems that have to be solved. And I wish they'd leave Gale alone. I'm pretty damn sure there's something wrong with Gale. Otherwise, he'd be playing. Right? He's on the bench. I'm not sure how it works, but he gets an appearance fee or something, by being in the squad. But I don't think he's necessarily that fit. That's my guess, anyway. And Moyes had some horrible shoes on.
I didn't see them, but when they
I noticed them straight away. I've decided to look at managers' shoes now. But we're going to have a nice little sequence of miserable managers left behind us because we messed their game plan up. Right? They come here, they think they can do this, think they can do that. They don't get a chance. They don't. All the things they've worked out what to do during the week don't happen. Right? And Sir Maximin, there must have been, what are we going to do about Sir Maximin? He's not there. And it doesn't matter. As, Shelby could have not been there and it doesn't matter, but he's so dangerous that far up the pitch.
Yeah. He's
getting close enough up to start shooting himself soon. So, yeah. And they get back in position very quickly as well now. When it breaks down, everyone's back there. Yeah. It's nice.
And Shelby, what's interesting about that is that the recovery runs that we made on Saturday, Shelby was leading the pack every single time.
It's very odd.
Easy thinking about it, isn't it?
Because they're kind of like the way we're set up as a team, and you can see it in game, but you can see it the way we're set up anyway with the three midfielders. So anything down the left-hand side, Joe Linton goes down that side to cover. From a defensive point of view, I mean, so he'll go back and cover the left back and be that supporting anchor. On the right-hand side, Willock does the same, and in the middle, Shelby's there to do it when either one of Willock or Joe Linton's pushed so far forward and they counter-attack that they can't get back quick enough. So he comes in as a second man, but he's always first to it and he's always back there. And his sprints and his initial recovery runs are better than I've ever seen. And I'm talking Shelby's career now. I'm talking at Swansea, at Liverpool, and when I saw little bits of him at Charlton, that he's performing better overall as a midfielder than I've ever seen in this period of time in his career under Eddie Howe. There is no doubt about it whatsoever. And this is where it's becoming a bit of a problem where we haven't talked about Bruno. We
don't need to talk about Bruno.
Yeah.
Bruno's in the box to come out the box later. I mean, what's the problem? Why we don't need him? And the other thing, because Sam Maximin wasn't there, Joe Linton didn't have to hold that side together. Because normally it's Joe Linton that's holding that left side together. Because Sam Maximin's wandering about a bit. And the pressing was a lot better because sometimes St. Mags is not quite as, anxious to get on the press as other people are. No, I was very pleased with everybody. They were all doing their best. And the plan worked. It worked. That was the thing. They didn't get anything together at all. They looked very ineffectual.
Well, I agree. But look, Jeff, always a pleasure to have you on. I know there's a few waiting in the wings patiently, but Jeff, you made some really good points.
I'm going to make another point just to annoy Alan, but anyway,
go on then. One more.
I'm just going to do it. I'm just going to make the point that I could have made a point to annoy Alan, but I'm not going to.
Get out of it, man. You're killing this. But no, absolutely spot on, Jeff.
And another thing,
really good points. No other thing. Some fantastic points, mate, raised, and obviously it's always a pleasure to have you on. Before you leave, you definitely need one of these.
Bye.
Go on.
No, straight out the bat. What a great start from Jeff. And you know what? He's made some fantastic points. Very, very much initially, he made a really good point with regards to Mikel Antonio and his lack of pressing. Because there's a few of us that noticed straight off the bat at the beginning of the game. And I think that was a Newcastle plan. So if you're watching the first 5, maybe 10 minutes of the game, our centre-backs just keep the ball. Byrne keeps the ball, Shaw keeps the ball, and basically says, if you want it, come and get it off us. And you can see, and it's minutes into the game where they're as fresh as a daisy. Mikel Antonio is standing still. And it's like a bit of a standoff. Burns got the ball at his feet and going, come on, come and get it off me. And Antonio saying, I'm not running for the ball. And it's literally a standoff. And there's probably about 30 seconds where, maybe even longer, like a minute or two, where they're just knocking the ball side to side, down the back four, up and down. And Mikel Antonio's not chasing the ball, and it takes the West Ham fans to get annoyed with him for him to start running. And it's really interesting how poor he was. For someone that they've been lauding as a top Premier League striker, he was dreadful. He was absolutely dreadful on Saturday, but we made him dreadful. He ended up having to go out to Kraft on his left or right hand side in the end, because he wasn't getting any joy from Shaw or Dan Burn, that he had to go out there in order to try and get the ball. So really, really good observation there from Jeff. Some really, really good points there.
Yeah.
With regards to that, and yeah, it was again. Go on, Chris. What were you going to say?
I was just going to say, Pete, I really liked another one of Jeff's points there, and funnily enough, that was the little bit of consolation I had on Saturday morning when I seen the lineup. What were your thoughts, Pete, when St. Maximin was ruled out? Did you think, for as like a positive, did you think, well, at least if we've got Murphy on that left hand side, we're going to see more of a press, and we're not going to see someone who kind of shirks their defensive responsibilities, albeit I'm not for 1 minute suggesting I'd pick Murphy over St. Maximin, but in terms of being away from home and you want players to put a shift in, I'm pretty sure, Pete, it was the Everton game where St. Maximin for about 15, 20 minutes just dropped off completely. And it was like he just stopped defending, doing any tracking, on that left-hand side. Going forward, great. But
it was the Villa game.
Was it Villa?
Yeah,
Villa.
Second half in the Villa game.
And Pete, it was petrifying. Right. Because it was just like, he was just like, yeah, listen, I'm not going back, just so you know. And that really put a lot of pressure on the left back. Who was it? It won't have been Matty.
Joe Linton was having to do a lot more work on that side to support as well.
He was coming over on the side.
You're right. It was Dummett.
Dummett. Yeah, that's it.
There was a lot of pressure. You're absolutely right. And it was. Look, I'll be honest, I wasn't really wanting Murphy to start. If anything, as an alternative, the one thing I wanted was potentially Joe Linton to go on the left and bring Bruno in. And I think a lot of other fans had said the same, was that they were thinking maybe that would be the best alternative. So to see Murphy start, I was a little bit like, oh. But what that made me think was that Eddie Howe is sticking to his guns. He's sticking to his guns and sticking to the way he wants to play. And it's actually opened up a different way, or maybe another way of me thinking about what Eddie Howe's going to do maybe in the future and how he's going to work things, and currently what he's doing now. It opened up a few more thoughts for me. But yeah, it definitely helped from a defensive point of view, because we were a lot more solid as a unit defensively. We were solid, but yeah, I was thinking maybe he would try and find a way to fit in Bruno. But it was. I think it says a lot about Eddie Howe and what he wants from his players and what he's demanding at the moment. The fact that he didn't play Bruno when he could quite easily have brought him into the team. It was an interesting decision. But look, just before we get on our next guest, I know you got something you want to say, Chris. I know. You got some opinions that you want to throw out there. Maybe a mini rant, shall we say?
Yeah, do you know what? It is the 5-minute rant tonight. I am conscious of that, and I want to do my own little rant, because I don't think we're going to have many rants tonight, if I'm honest. But obviously, I've been off the show for the last few weeks, so I just kind of wanted to, come back with a bang, if you like. And there was just a few things over the last few weeks that, I just wanted to briefly touch on. I don't want to go on about it too much, because I know a lot of it's done and dusted, but I still feel, I do need to make the point on a certain couple of things. The first thing is just to say, obviously, a big massive thanks to you, Pete, and Holly and Steve, for covering in my absence. I have been keeping up with the shows, but as I say, when I've not been well, it's really nice to know that, people will step in for me. So I do really appreciate that. The other thing I wanted to say is I'm still absolutely flabbergasted at what happened a couple of weeks ago when you and Holly were doing the show, and we had the guests in the chat, and they were saying what they were saying. I won't repeat what they were saying, but I think the majority of people who are watching this will know what was said. And I know there was a few comments made after the show and on Twitter, and yeah, I just wanted to say just that I find it absolutely disgusting, and for me, the fact that we're still dealing with things like that in this day and age is just absolutely terrible. And I just wanted to really, more than anything, Pete, just say, I thought you handled it really well, and just shows the kind of guy you are. That you're still on here, you're still doing the shows, and you won't let anyone in the minority affect your position and what you stand for and things. So I just wanted to say, I'm really, really sorry for what happened, and yeah, absolutely kudos to you, mate, because I thought you handled things really well. And as I say, the fact that things like that still go on is just absolutely horrible. And it's really, really good that Steve backs that up as well and says that we won't accept anything like that, not on this platform, but also on Loaded. We'd be exactly the same. People feeling the need to come on and do things like that, it's just horrible. And hope we don't see any more of that. I mean, I've just been chatting to a fella then in the chat, Chris Meller. I'm going to give him a shout out. A little bit of tongue in cheek about about Newcastle, and we love that. You know what I mean? That is what these shows are for. Everyone's got different opinions. Everyone's got different thoughts, and people support different clubs. You've got to accept that. But it's nice that Chris came on with his fishing rods, trying to get a reaction, got one, and then we started talking more sensibly. But I love things like that, and I think it's great. So yeah, big shout out to Chris there, because he kept things respectful, which is really good. The only other couple of things I want to touch on, Pete, I know, I'm trying to think if it was with you. I don't think it was. I think it was one of Steve's shows, when Holly got absolutely lambasted for saying that Joe Willock didn't have a particularly good game. Was it? It was the last game, wasn't it, against Villa?
Villa, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, and I know that you said you said you thought Willock had a particularly good game. You're a big fan of him, and what I didn't like was the fact that Holly gave her opinion and people like mocked her for it. And for me, I just don't understand it. And then people trying to back that up with comments, such as, oh, he has 100% pass rate and stuff like that, when Holly said that his passing wasn't great. But I just kind of want to just say to people, there's no reason not to be nice. And Holly's got an opinion. Holly, by the way, not that this matters and this isn't a consideration, but Holly goes to all the matches. So if Holly's got an opinion on someone, then she should be able to speak that opinion and not be abused for it. And when you see people coming out and saying, oh, you have 100% pass rate, I hate stats like that, Pete. I absolutely hate them, because even if he made 3 passes from there to there, that's an 100% pass rate. So it's just little things like that, and I just think it's not fair. So I felt really sorry for Holly the other week with what happened. And me personally, just to quickly touch on it, I thought Joe Willock did okay that game. I didn't think he had a bad game, but I similarly, I didn't think he was excellent. However, in the game just gone, against West Ham, I thought he was excellent. I know we'll touch on that later on probably, but I thought Joe Willock was absolutely fabulous. So yeah, I just wanted to say that. And the very, very, very final thing I'll say is, obviously, I just want to give a big shout out to John Owen from Jab, and his family, really. Really, really saddened to hear the news about John Owen. Never got to meet John, which is a shame, but he was a big supporter of Loaded when we first started up as LFW. And he really helped us out, with our media and stuff like that. So I just wanted to say a big shout out to his family, and I hope they're all okay. It was really saddened to hear the news, but that was it. Last final thing. Obviously, big shout out to Steve as well. I'm sure Steve will be watching the show tonight, or you'll catch up on it later. But just wanted Steve to know that, I'm sure we've all, Pete, I'm sure you've reached out to Steve as well, but we're all thinking of him. I know his mum's not well at the moment. So yeah, we're all thinking of you, Steve, and just wanted to let you know that. But yeah, that was just my little rant, Pete. I had about three weeks of shows to catch up on, so I just wanted to just have that little speech. But yeah, that was it.
No problem. And I think every single point that you've made is absolutely spot on. So massive respect for that, 100%.
Cheers, mate.
Yeah, from my perspective, for the one or two negatives I've had on this platform for the last 18 months, I've had way more positives. The people that I'm interacting with on a daily basis, the guys that are in the chat right now, that are about to come on, massive respect to these guys, Jeff included, and so many in the chat. You know, just going through the chat, so many people that I talk to on a regular basis that have got massive respect. You got 00 Stato, Keith Roll, our partner in crime on away days is in the chat. You got Andrew, you got so many I could go through. Geordie Team for Life, Tom Lynch, Chris, Few Pints, Gary. I'm just going up a little bit on this chat and I'm seeing so many people, so many that I've met as well. I think Roger in the chat earlier mentioned, you know, the fact that we met at the Dog and Parrot before the Villa game. Absolute pleasure to have a chat with him and you know, speak for a few minutes about certain things about Newcastle. Great. This platform, social media, can be an amazing place. It's only the small few that ruin it. And I refuse to let those small few ruin what is a fantastic platform for Newcastle United. And it's exactly the same for the situation with Holly. Everybody's allowed their opinion. Okay, we make points on players that people don't necessarily agree with. You know, it's part and parcel of the game. If we all had the same opinion about football and about the way football ran, it would be an incredibly boring place. Okay, but I think more than anything, massive respect for Holly for the fact that, you know, she turned around and said, you know what, I've looked at it again. Maybe I was wrong. Hold my hands up. Fair enough. We move on. It takes a bigger person to put their hands up and say, you know what, maybe I was wrong there. My bad. I'll look at it closer next time. It's a bigger person to do that than actually to turn around and go, you know, I'm sticking to my guns. This is how I felt. Blah 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 blah. You know, we all have an opinion, but we're all entitled to that because that's what makes football, and that's what makes football and NUFC chat so amazing. Is that we've all got so many different opinions, and this is why the chat tonight on Matters is always a fantastic chat on a Monday evening. And, you know, we get the same on many other chats throughout the week, including Loaded as well. And it's great to see. So absolutely spot on. And obviously the thoughts are with Steve and obviously John Owen as well. Massive respect to both. But yeah, at that point, I think we're ready for another guest. And no better guest to bring on than Jeff's main man, even though we tried to sabotage him earlier. Let's get him on. How you doing, Alan?
Well done, lads. Great point on Saturday, lads. And I have to say, Pete, Chris's points are fantastic because I was going to be on the show last week when you weren't on to say exactly the same. You're a credit to your family, people that we know. I won't rub it on too much, Pete. But you want to be very proud. You've helped us through lockdown in these 18 months, you and Chris and all the people on the show, Steve Wraith included. There's no need for it in this day and age. I won't say any more, but you're a credit to everybody on the show, Pete. I don't want to embarrass you too much. First thing, great point on Saturday. I know I'm going to go against the grain, lads, but I thought Lascelles was man of the match because he was on the bench. And that's what I wanted to say. No, seriously, lads. I thought Matt Targett was up. Pete, Chris, I watched the game. And
so
honestly,
underrated.
I was watching him, and he was outstanding. Absolutely outstanding. I know Byrne and Will have got the mentions, and rightly so. But I actually thought Matt Targett was my man match by Company Mile. I think it must be a school thing where there's been a fullback at school and watching it. And I just thought he was absolutely marvellous.
He makes it look effortless, doesn't he, Alan? It's the way he's just slotted in. Looks like he's played for us for 2 or 3 seasons, and he's just that steady Eddie, isn't he? To use that expression. Yes. He's that kind of player where you know you're going to get a good 7, possibly 8 out of 10 every week. He doesn't look like he's got a mistake in him, and he's really impressed me since he's come in. You're absolutely right.
And I mean, you know what? When I was watching the game, lads, it's just the organisation. I was actually not nervous when we were knocking the ball around the 10, 15 minutes. I thought, you know, this is great. I know people might argue we could have done better and we'll always want 3 points. But I thought, and when have we had 53% in a game away from home? It was unheard of under Bruce. It really was. I mean, that possession. And I mean, Jeff had a great point earlier on about stifling teams. And I went on the West Ham podcast after the game, Chris, and they were saying, "Oh, Joe Linton's just a makeshift midfielder," but that lad is incredible, breaking up play, and that's the key to it. Joe Linton's come on unbelievable, and everybody knows it, and it's now starting to get noticed by opposing fans that he is starting to be a player, a really, really good player. I'd like to know of people off the chat, how many teams does people think are in this relegation battle, lads? Because I went on the Aston Villa podcast, Pete. Leicester fans want Rodgers sacked. Aston Villa fans are in meltdown, and then mid-table, like 11th and 12th, and Villa fans, we could be relegated here if we're doing. And I'm thinking, you've got no chance of being relegated. Small chance, but no chance really. I would say, but the other in meltdown from 11th onwards. It's absolutely brilliant to see. Every fan from there, lads, honestly, I go on them all. And I mean, the Tottenham fans were thinking, just keep the scoreline down to 4-0 against Man City and look at what happens. That's the beauty about football. It's incredible. I do believe myself, it's from Brentford down over. I do think it's Brentford, Leeds, Everton, ourselves, and the three below it. I still think there's 7 teams. Crystal Palace may come into it, but if you see the opposing fans, it's great to see them in meltdown, thinking they're the worst team in the world, and they've spent all this money, and we've got Coutinho. The Villa fans are just, again, I give them the number for the Samaritans because we were like that a couple of months ago, but that's a great point, and especially our good friend Paul Merson on Saturday, Pete, you wouldn't have heard him, but when ACM was ruled out, Pete, it was like, just get this game out the way and go on to Brentford because they beat the day. And that shows you how far we've come. We're all disappointed at getting a draw or a large amount. We could have got a win if we had better players up front. But that'll come with time. Murphy done his job, and I agree with Jeff about tracking, Chris, about you saying about tracking back. And it was the Villa game, and that it was highlighted on Sky when the game was going on about ACM not tracking back. But that was my point a few weeks ago, lads, about better players. Man City have got 11 players that track back and come back. The Man United players in the 90s and the 2000s that won the league, there's 11 of them work like the socks off, and that's what you've got to have. And in time, hopefully, if we avoid relegation, I'm more confident that we'll get better and better players. And it's building blocks, getting better and better.
Yeah.
So the likes of ACM would be players that will come on like actually is impact players. And that'll be the standard we'll get in 2 or 3 years' time. I see a large amount of the fan base are worried about Bruno getting on. But he's come from a foreign country. And the great McLeod said it on the show a couple of days ago, that he's got a bed in. He's come from a foreign country, miles away from home. Isn't it great that we can integrate and do not want a bench where there's 6 or 7 top quality players that are desperate to get on?
Yeah.
And because if they get on, they don't want to be out the side, so they're going to play better again. That's what a lot of the West Ham fans were saying about Antonio, Chris, that they haven't got a backup striker. Yeah. So he's playing rubbish, but they've got nobody to replace him with. And that's what the top teams have. If they're not playing, like Sterling saying, not playing well, then they bring on another top quality player. They're off, and you bring in another one. So that's what we've got to get up with Bruno. He might play on Saturday. And again, Chris, I agree with you about Brentford. Thomas Frank will have their players right up for this game because I do believe, and it's wrong for us to say, if we win on Saturday, I think we'll finish comfortably out of the relegation mire. And it's wrong, maybe it's still a long way to go. But I do believe that if we win on Saturday, if we lose, it'll go down to the wire, I think. But if we win, and that's how important this game is on Saturday, I think, because I cannot see Everton beating Man City. And I don't think Leeds will beat Tottenham either on Saturday, lads. I really
especially
don't.
after that. Especially after that Tottenham result, when they beat Man City, I can't see Man City losing 2 on the bounce. I think
Neither
Everton are going to
can
get a
I,
hard. I think they're going to get a hard in Everton.
Yeah. I know there's midweek games on Wednesday, lads. So Watford, Burnley both play, and Leeds play Liverpool. So hopefully, the results go our way.
There's
But
some midweek games, aren't there? There's some midweek games, aren't there?
Yeah, Leeds play Liverpool. Leeds play Liverpool, Pete. Watford play Crystal Palace, and Burnley play Tottenham at home. So all 3 of them, they're all big games for us. So hopefully they'll go our way. So in effect, I would like Tottenham to beat Burnley if they get beat off Leeds on Saturday. Fair enough. Because I want the bottom 3 away from us as soon as possible.
Yeah.
They being selfish, lads. But, we went to West Ham without 3 of our top players, Trippier, Wilson, and still got a result. And everybody in the chat's got to sit back and go, cracking result.
Yeah,
and
it is.
Isn't it noticeable, lads, that Longstaff, and I know Amaron came on, we're not even talking about them coming on the pitch.
Yeah.
We're not
They're not even in the
especially
conversation, are
Longstaff. We're not even, and bless him, Kraft tried his hardest, but he was our weakest link, I'm afraid. I hope Mankio's right for Saturday, lads. I really do. But he put in a shift, and I hope ACM is as well. But things are looking up, and I couldn't be happier, lads. I couldn't be happier.
Yeah.
So I'll get off it with this, Chris, Pete. I'll try to get 10,000 points in 5 minutes. I don't want to keep Jeff waiting. Not next week, anyway. See you later.
Do you know what, Alan? There's just one thing I've got to say. Fantastic points. There's just got one thing I've got to say, and I messaged Pete and Holly about this separately. Mate, you cheered me up so much when you were last on with the van when it was Pete and Holly, because fantastic points as always. I always enjoy watching the show, whether I'm involved in it or not. But Alan, it was so funny. Like literally, I was like at death's door, feeling rubbish, and I couldn't stop laughing because when you were talking, you must be so used to speaking to me and Pete. You kept saying lads, and I just seen Holly, and Holly's face was just like that. And you just kept going, you know what I mean, lads? Oh, mate, it was so funny. It was like
Bobby Robson of the run. I do running, lads, and I keep getting people's names messed up. It's where there's been a pensioner, lads, when you're mentioning the green room when you're hard at work, and I'm thinking I'm a pensioner just lying back here. It's great. I done my first race in 4 years, Pete, on Saturday, so I actually didn't see the game live, to be honest with you, so I repeated it. So I was watching it 3 o'clock at night for the 3rd time and going through it all. But honestly, I'm sorry about that, Holly. I'm sorry.
She didn't even notice. I highlighted it to her. She didn't even notice.
I'm not just saying it, Chris. You made great points, and Pete, you do the channel, you do everybody, your family proud, and I mean that. Nobody should put up with abuse, no matter what you do. We've all got opinions, and like I said to Holly, it's a game about opinions. I mean, there's a few people on the chat sometimes, people, Rachel, people like that who are regulars. I might not agree with them, and they might not agree with me, but everybody is entitled to their opinions. But keep it going, lads. All the best. Keep the run going against Brentford. And like you say, Chris, if it's a point, it's a point. I want 3, but keep the momentum going.
Yeah.
Take care, lads.
Take care, Alan.
Top man. I knew we'd get there eventually. And these videos are playing up today. They're playing up for me. I don't know if they're coming on straight away.
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah,
they're playing up, but well deserved, Alan. Absolutely great points as always. Always a pleasure to chat to you, and hopefully we'll see you again next week, talking another 3 points. Fingers crossed on the board after the Brentford game. Top man, you take care, mate.
Cheers, Alan. Cheers.
Brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. And yeah, it echoed a lot of points that you've made, Chris, but also made some very, very good ones himself. One of the things that you mentioned quite early on that we didn't get a chance to kind of go back to was he talked about Matty Targett. Have you ever, or have you seen a more complete left back? And look, it's only been 2 games, but have you seen a more complete left back performance in these 2 games that you've played at Newcastle? Like in your history of supporting Newcastle, the Matty Targett?
The only player who comes close, I'd say, is probably Jose Enrique. You know, when especially Pete in that championship season, he was literally like, when we were saying he's probably the best player in the championship, and that was our left back. It was like he was unbelievable. But as I say, let's not forget, Jose Enrique took a good season, didn't he? Good season to get bedded in, same as Colaccini. But the fact that Matt Targett's just come in, and do you know what I liked about him as well? I've seen a couple of interviews with him that he's done on NUFC TV, and he's just so unassuming. And he's, you know, you can tell he's a proper professional, really polite, comes across really well. No airs and graces, just gets on with his football. And the fact as well, and big respect for Steven Gerrard for this as well, the fact that he just said he wants to come and play football. We've said, haven't we, Pete, about a number of our players, the fact that there's players there who are quite happy to sit on the bench, quite happy to pick up the pay packet, and he's turned around and gone, do you know what? He could have stayed at Villa. Steven Gerrard didn't want to let him go, but then at the same time, he went and had a conversation with him and said, "Listen, I just want to play football. Will you let me go?" And Steven Gerrard, full credit to him. It probably would have been better for him to keep hold of a player of Matty Targett's ability, but he's let him come and play football at Newcastle, and he's literally, you're absolutely right, he's just come in, slotted in at left back like he's been there for the last 2 or 3 seasons, as I said before, and he just looks. If someone said to me now, "Do you want to sign him permanently?" I'd snap the hand off. I think Matty Targett improves us significantly. And I don't think, Pete, and maybe I'm being a bit over the top saying this, but I'd love to hear your thoughts. I don't even think he would look out of place in a top 6 side. I really don't. He's that good. Defensively, he's solid. He gives you something going forward, and you know what you're getting from him. I mean, I look at other left backs, you know, for some of the bigger teams. I mean, obviously you've got, like, you know, you've Andy Robertsons at Liverpool, you've got Luke Shaw at Man United, and players like that. But I don't think they're that much above him, if that makes sense. Like, I think he's a solid acquisition. I really do.
I don't think Luca Dean's very much further ahead of him.
No.
It's certainly when you refer to in-game football, in-match play, I don't think there's much difference, if any difference, between Matt Targett and Luca Dean. What Luca Dean gives you, he gives you the ability of quality set-piece play.
Yeah,
he's a very good free kick taker. He's very good at corners and deep line free kicks that can be whipped into the box. That's what he specialises in. And that's probably what tips the balance between a Luca Dean and a Matt Targett. But in game, there's nothing that separates them. But you made some good points about, you know, how Matty Targett's come in, how he looked in his interviews. What I looked for and what I noticed about Matty Targett in his interviews is that he's confident in his ability. I want to play football because I know that I'm good enough. And if you want to go and pay 30 million for a left back, a French left back, and you think that he's better than me, fair enough. But I'm going to go and play somewhere else because I know that I'm good enough to play football at this level. And I'm not just comfortable on sitting in the bench. I looked at his interviews and saw that level of confidence in his ability. And you know what? You can see it in his game. He's confident. He knows his stuff. And he showed his stuff as well. And I was really, really really impressed with what I've seen so far. And definitely he is without doubt a fantastic signing. In my opinion, for Newcastle, if we can, well, I say if we can, but when we stay up, it'll be a case of he'd be one of the guys I'd be getting early doors. And you know what? He already looks like he's loving his time on Tyneside. So I don't think it'd be too difficult to convince him to come up to Newcastle. 26 years old, perfect age, not even in his prime yet. Still got levels, potential to play international football still. I just think it'd be a great signing.
All these pundits as well, Pete, saying, you know, when the transfer window's short, saying that we had an underwhelming transfer window, signing the likes of Dan Burn and Matty Targett. and players like that. I mean, even Chris Wood, you know, saying that, like, you know, they're not sure why we've done it. And a few of my friends who are Blues, you know, they said to me, "Oh, bloody hell, I thought you were going to sign Mbappe. I thought you were going to sign Haaland." And I kept saying to them, and I had an argument with my mate over the right back. So we obviously brought in Kieran Trippier, and you know, people look and go, "Oh, he's 32," and you know, FFP. You know, I keep hearing FFP all the time. And Everton signed Nathan Patterson, and he was arguing with me, saying, "Well, Nathan Patterson's going to have more sell-on value. Nathan Patterson could be a fantastic player." And I was going, "We don't need a player like Nathan Patterson. We need someone who's going to come in, hit the ground running." And just look at Kieran Trippier now, Pete. Like, he's out, and we're absolutely devastated over it. If you look at the performances in the last few games of Kieran Trippier, Dan Burn, and Matty Targett, and you can see now why. Like you said, absolutely spot on before, Pete. We went 1-0 down. There was no panic there. And, you know, even in the last, 15, 20 minutes of the game when it was 1-1, you're not panicking, thinking, "Oh, God, we're in trouble here." There's no panic anymore. And, I mean, what in the last 3 games, Pete, has Martin Dubravka had to do? Like, I'm struggling. I'm struggling to think what he's had to do.
In the whole of the 90 minutes, he's had 2 saves to make in the whole of that 90 minutes on Saturday. 2 saves to make. There was one with the Bowen one that I thought that he just kind of mishit it, Bowen, but actually he's took a shot. Dubravka's tipped it onto the bar and it's kind of whipped by in the first half. And then there was another one where Bowen cuts inside, he goes to shoot. I think Joe Linton or one of the other players, maybe even Matty Targett, blocks it and it kind of trickles to Dubravka to his left-hand side and it goes down. Really simple save. They're the only things he did in the whole game. The only things. And you look back at the Villa game, you look back at the Everton game, he was barely worked. But that's down to him and his organisation of the defence, but that's also the defence being solid as a unit, starting from the full-backs into the centre-backs. Dubravka must be loving life right now.
Oh,
playing with that
absolutely.
defensive four, Targett, Burn, Shaw, and then Manquillo or Trippier. He must be loving life. He must be thinking it's his birthday every week. We're going out onto the pitch with that back four in front of him because it's organised. They're all comfortable on the ball. You know, he's not putting himself under unnecessary pressure. That's the difference between a Lascelles and a Shaw, a Lascelles and a Dan Burn, a Clark and the other 3. Like that's the difference there. And we're seeing a level stepped up in terms of quality of player, and it's great to see. Just before we get our next guest on, because I'm really keen to get our next guest on because we've not had a chance to share the floor with him before, but we're going to get him on very shortly. However, we'll get a slap on the wrist if we don't. We need to go to the ad phase. We need to get the ads out there. So yeah, Steve won't be happy if we don't click that button. So here it is.
Thanks to all our sponsors. First up, Spider VPN for all your internet security. Google Spider VPN. They are the boys to trust. They come up at the top of the Google network search. Thanks also to skipsandbins.com. Telephone 0800 25 45 25 3. Email inquiries at skipsandbins.com. Website www.skipsandbins.com. Easy, contract free and pay as you go. Waste collection. Thanks also to L&G Family Funeral Directors 01913897245 and to Garden of Healing Dispensary, CBD hemp and cannabinoid specialists, www.thegohd.com. Thanks to Arcot Interiors. You can Google them and they come up at the top of the search list also. You can also find them on Heaton Road and they are currently hiring and looking for fitters. So contact Arcot Interiors if you are available to help them with that particular trade. qtechshop.co.uk are the makers of pool tables and snooker tables in Wallsend, Newcastle, and also the guys who run our website. Jab Signature, you can find them at jabsignature.co.uk. Thanks to Media Arts for all of our video editing. And thank you to newworkwear.com, the specialist in the supply and branding of clothing for the workplace, for providing me with my new jacket. And if you want to subscribe to the show, hit the Newcastle Legends logo in the bottom right-hand corner and you can subscribe for free. We still do 7 shows a week and we do some true crime stuff as well. Hit the thumb up under the video to like the video, click share to your social media and drop into the comments box to speak to like-minded Newcastle fans or to leave a question. We're also available as a podcast on iTunes, Spotify and other podcast providers. If you put your phone over this QR code, it will take you straight to our website and you become a Newcastle and UFC Matters member. You get a cup, you get a pen, you get a scarf, and entered into our monthly draw where you can win some fantastic prizes. We also do live events, and each pre-match and post-match you can find us at the Dog and Parrot, and Super Mac gives us a talk about the game ahead. There is good beer, and there is good music, and there is a pool table, and kids are welcome. So get yourself along to the Dog and Parrot each match day in Newcastle City Centre. We also support the food bank on this channel, nufcfansfoodbank.co.uk. You can find the matchday bucket, which is operational 365 days of the year, and you can make a virtual deposit. If you want to find us on Facebook, then just search NUFC Matters. We have a page and a group. And if you want to follow me on Instagram, search Steve Wraith. And if you want to follow me on Twitter, search @SteveWraith.
That always makes me laugh, that video. You know, there's a point in it, and Steve will kill me saying this. There's a point in it when he goes, there's good beer, and then I'm expecting him to go, there's bad beer. You know, when he's talking about the Dog and Parrot.
To be fair, the beer's good in there.
Yeah.
I was lucky enough to have one in there. I think it was Gary that very, very nicely brought us a beer in there. So yeah, very, very nice. So I'll definitely be going back there very shortly for another one in the future. But look, I'm really excited to get this next guest on. Spoke to him a lot recently over recent months. Never had the chance to share the floor with him, but I'm going to welcome him in. Welcome in. How you doing, Jimmy?
Hello, how are you?
Very good, thank you. How are you, my man?
I'm good, and I would love to say that, Chris, I enjoyed your rant. No room for bullying. Chris, he died, and same to you. Nobody should ever have to go through anything like that. I'll just stop it there. Actually, I have another question. What is your drink of choice?
My drink of choice?
Yes, because I see every week drinking something, and I'm just wondering what the hell it is.
Okay, so my drink of choice, and it is the same every show that I'm on every week. It is brandy and Coke. I'm a huge brandy fan. Hey, for anyone in the chat, no, I'm not an alcoholic. I only have a brandy when I'm on the show. So as soon as the show finishes and I finish my drink, that's me done for the night. I very rarely have any drink on a regular basis. But when I have a show, this is kind of like my comfort.
Okay.
This is my drink. And yeah, no, Andy, I don't have brandy on a drip. I'm not. But yeah, I do like a brandy. What type of brandy? Lots of different brandies. I'm a huge brandy fan, so I will try very huge and large amounts of different types of brandies. But yeah, that's me. I've even got because I think you put you tweeted out earlier about a brandy glass with a
Yes.
glass with the Newcastle on. It's not got the Newcastle on, but it's actually got my initials on here, so everyone knows in the house.
Nice.
And any visitors know that nobody has this glass other than me. This is my glass.
Well, being in Atlanta, I think I can get you a Little John goblet if you'd like to.
Oh, that would be an absolute dream. Yeah, that would be a dream. Heard lots about it, never tried it. So yeah.
Great point. I'd like to discuss a couple of players that somehow got lost. I'll just start with Ryan Fraser. Love him, absolutely love him.
Yeah.
And I love Scottish players because no matter how big or how small they are, they seem to be born with this gene. This like, don't fuck with me gene because I'm gonna play my game, but if you come after me, I'm going to, I'm gonna get you back. And I've always loved small players. My favorite player, other than Newcastle, outside Newcastle, was always Gordon Strachan.
Oh, yeah. Good player.
Little guy. He ran around. It's like they never could find a shirt that would actually fit him. Even the extra smalls wouldn't fit him. Back in the days where, actually got real shirts. Not this dry fit shit that they wear today. But yeah, I love small, gritty players. And he's by far, to me, my favorite player right now.
He's got a lot of heart, hasn't he? He's got
Yes.
a lot of heart, and he really, he's really demonstrating that he's up for the fight.
And Joe Willett, the babyface assassin, is back.
I love that.
Don't know how he scored that goal. Don't care how he scored the goal. I mean, it was a beautiful touch. My verdict, if he really meant to do that, is to up in the air, but who cares? He looked like the only English international on the field. He owned Declan Rice the entire. Just amazing. The free kick that they scored. I'm not gonna nitpick who should have done what. They're third in the league in set pieces. You don't make that tackle in that area. Was it Clark? But
Aircraft.
Yeah.
Kraft.
It was unnecessary, wasn't it? It was.
Yeah,
it was
it's
unnecessary. Didn't need
it's
to.
basic situational awareness. I mean, it's something you learn, coming up, whatever age. And I mean, it was unnecessary. Beautiful, beautiful kick. But the NBC commentator threw out a stat that I don't think a lot of people picked up on, but Newcastle in the first half that was the most touches they had in the box for a half in 2 years.
Really? Didn't know that.
Yeah.
Wow.
Arlo White threw that out.
We had. I was going to say, Jimmy. I think we had the most touches in the opposition box of any team in the whole over the whole weekend, which is crazy. It's crazy
for us, isn't it? It's crazy. You don't see a Newcastle team. Well, we haven't seen a Newcastle team getting stats anywhere near that, have we, for years and years?
Let me ask you a question. How long is the honeymoon period going to go on with Chris Wood not scoring?
Good question, Chris.
Yeah, very good.
I'll come to you. The honeymoon period with Chris Wood, obviously, he hasn't scored yet. He seems to be getting a lot of stick from everyone else outside of Newcastle and not the Newcastle fans or Newcastle itself. But what are your thoughts on Jimmy's question? Because I think it's a really good one.
Yeah, it is. It's a fantastic question. I mean, we I think Jimmy's right. It probably is a little bit of a honeymoon period, and because results are going our way at the moment and performances are there, maybe we're being a little bit more lenient with Chris Wood. Me personally, Jimmy, like I haven't got a problem with Chris Wood at the moment. Okay, yeah, we are missing goals, and I think he is one of those players, but this has been said before, that once he gets that first goal, maybe his confidence will, will rise. I mean, another thing to point out as well is that I've not seen over the past 3 or 4 games many chances where Chris Wood hasn't taken the opportunity. If he's missing 3 or 4 chances per game, good chances, I'd probably be a bit more critical and a bit more concerned. But the fact that he's not necessarily getting the opportunities, I think that's why we're giving him a little bit more leniency. As long as the team keep performing well, and as long as Chris Woods is putting the effort in, which he absolutely is, then I'll continue to back him. And I'll continue to, stay behind him, so to speak. I mean, we know at the moment, Jimmy, there's not many other options on the bench. I think you're talking Dwight Gale at the moment. That's about it. And every week, without fail, you always see on the timeline people posting a picture of Chris Wood's stats in his aerial duels. I think after every match, people go, "Oh, but look how good he is in the air," and it's absolutely right. And maybe it's down to the players who are around him to start, looking to get onto these flick-ons and looking to maybe play a bit closer to him. I mean, don't forget, Jimmy, and this will be the last point I make on this. Don't forget, Chris Woods has been used to playing in a very rigid, a very organised 4-4-2 formation, where the 2 old-style wingers have constantly been getting the ball into the box, and he's used to having a striker playing next to him. Now, I know for a period of the time we had Alan St. Maximin playing next to him, but he, as you know, is not an orthodox striker or a number 10, if you like. He really, really isn't. He's not your Ashley Barnes type foil, is he? Where those 2 up front, Chris Wood and Ashley Barnes, they knew exactly where they were. They knew exactly what position they were playing, and sometimes Ashley Barnes would drop off Chris Wood a little bit. Alan St. Maximin is everywhere. He's all over the pitch, and nobody knows what he's going to do next. And that can't have been easy for Chris Wood when he was playing with 2 up fronts, because he's not used to that kind of movement, and he's not used to Alan St. Maximin, spreading the play and running the channels quite like Ashley Barnes would have done. Ashley Barnes played a very different role with him at Burnley. So for me, Jimmy, I'm appreciating all the effort that Chris Wood's put in, and it's only when he starts getting all these chances, doesn't take them, and then the results are affected, that maybe my opinion will change. But at the moment, I'm still fully behind him.
Well, I agree with what you say, but I'd like to see him, use his head on the field and not in the tunnel. Allegedly, that's my. I'd say allegedly, that's the old news person coming out, but
I love it. But no, I do like Chris Wood. I think, look, if anyone thinks that Chris Wood is here, it has been signed in January to be the main man next season, you're wrong.
No.
He's literally been bought for 6 months. We paid £25 million for a striker for 6 months, because after that period we've got Callum Wilson coming back, but you better believe that we're going to go out and buy a top striker in the summer, and we're going to buy a number 9. He might not have the number 9, but we are going to buy a number 9, an established number 9, whether it's the top young player in Europe at the moment, number 9, or we're going to sign an experienced, established goal-scoring number 9. We are going to go out and get one. There's no doubt about it. And that then puts him down the pecking order, because you've then got Callum Wilson that will be vying for a place up there. And then you'll have Chris Wood. And what we'll have then is options for the first time in a long time. Genuine options of strikers that are up there that are going to be challenging. But right now, he's causing a problem. I thought Kurt Zouma was atrocious on Saturday. I thought defensively, Dawson was awful, but that was because, as you said, Chris Wood was a battering ram. He was knocking them from pillar to post. From an attacking point of view, winning every flick on, roughing those players up, getting stuck in. He wasn't in positions where. I mean, there was one point in the first half that Chris Wood put an amazing cross into the box and nobody's there. And
Yeah,
we
yeah,
were
yeah.
saying, the one person who still got onto Chris Wood's cross is Chris Wood.
Yeah.
He locked it up, and he was the only one to put that ball in, and nobody was there. And it's just like, typically the one person on the end of it is the striker that's desperate for the goal, but he's the one that takes or puts the cross in. It's I still believe Chris Wood is going to have big moments with his goals, and it would not surprise me in the next few weeks that Chris Wood gets a goal that really means something. Potentially against Brentford on Saturday, a really big goal that means something. It reminds me of a little bit. It reminds me of Daryl Murphy. When we signed Daryl Murphy in the Championship under Rafa Benitez, he didn't play all the time. But when he came on, like against Huddersfield away, he scored a really important goal that got us that big win at Huddersfield, where we beat Brighton, I think in midweek, and then we went to Huddersfield on the Saturday and got the win there, and it really kind of pushed us further up the table. I think Chris Wood's going to have that impact. He's going to score a goal that really means something, that gets us a valuable point or 3 points down the line. And don't put it past Chris Wood potentially putting Burnley down. I think we'll be safe by the last game of the season personally. But don't be surprised if Chris Wood scores the goal that puts Burnley down on the last game of the season. Don't be surprised by that. But yeah, I understand it because he's a striker. He goes on goals, and I understand why people might get frustrated with it.
Yeah.
Well, and my last point, now that we have the new owners, and love to see Newcastle make more of a headway in the United States, just do me a favor. During the summer, go to Chelsea and pick up Christian Pulisic.
Class.
Good
Class.
player.
Yeah.
I mean, he's like with Barcelona, but they don't have any money.
Yeah.
I would love to see him in Newcastle. The shirts would sell off the rack. I mean, more than, they'd make so much money off of him, and he's a damn good player.
Yeah.
I mean, I would love to see either him, Weston McKennie, or Tyler Adams at Newcastle.
Tyler Adams, he's playing in the Bundesliga at the moment, isn't he? Is that right?
Oh, could you say that again? I didn't hear it.
Tyler Adams, is he playing in the Bundesliga at the moment?
Yes.
Yeah, I thought he was. Fullback, if I'm right in thinking.
And those two would be rather cheap options. Pulisic might cost you a little more, but I would love to see an American in that side.
Definitely.
And you could ship Almiron back here to Atlanta. We'd love to have him back.
Yeah.
He's not a Premier League player, but he would thrive in the MLS again.
Yeah. Would you agree with that, Chris?
Yeah.
I would like to.
Oh, sorry. Go on, Jimmy. Go on.
Oh,
Carry on. Sorry.
I was just going to say, I'd like to thank the shows to give me a chance to get on. Like I said, when I started last week on the show, I had 86 followers. That's now over 800.
Wow.
It's amazing. Amazing.
I mean, I hope I don't bore everybody, but
Not at all.
No
I mean,
chance.
that just tells you my mindset when I got off Facebook because it was too crazy and went to Twitter. So I've lost it. I know Twitter's not exactly the happiest platform, but I really enjoy all the support from the Newcastle fan base. Just in my condition, I've got a lot of DMs from people who have children or that they are in the same situation that I'm in, and asking me how I got to the point where I can come on to do something like this, or how I'm being so active and I enjoy the banter back and forth. If I can help one person with a disability out there, all for it.
I
Just
agree.
give
It's
me
amazing. It's amazing, Jimmy. Really, really amazing. And do you know what? I'm just going to quickly, Jimmy. I've just had a quick check on my Twitter because we follow each other. So anybody who's not following Jimmy, that's his Twitter handle. Oh, hang on, down there. So it's at Jimmy Moore 12. So if you're not following Jimmy already, make sure you give him a follow because he's a fantastic fella.
That's it.
Definitely.
Wheelchair Mafia, baby.
Look, Jimmy, we've been talking for a while on social media, and always a pleasure to have a chat with you. You make some great points as always. And you know what? Like I say, like you just said, Twitter's not always the happiest of places, but in the sort of darkest of moments, there is incredibly a lot more light with positivity in the chat. Honestly, if you've not been following the chat, Jimmy, have a look back at the show when you've come on. The amount of support you've got on this chat when you came on today, there's so much love for you on this chat. So many people respect you like absolute crazy. So look, you're an inspiration to everybody. 110%. You are always welcome back on the rant or fans forum, whichever you want to call it. Always welcome back with us. Always, and yeah, just keep talking to us, keep interacting, because it's an absolute pleasure to chat to you, mate.
Well, thank you very much. And Wilford, I'm coming for you, baby.
You throw down the gauntlet.
Yeah, Wilford's my man. I mean, he's a huge reason why I started watching. And I've got a couple nurses that are from Nigeria, and they enjoy listening to him also. So my goal is to get to Wilford standards. And Jeff. Amazing. Amazing.
I don't think anyone can get to Jeff standards, Jimmy.
Yeah, when he's not, pillaging around estate sales and getting shit to post that no one understands. He's been a huge help. And I love listening to Alan. So knowledgeable. But that's it. I'm gonna retire. And once again, always a pleasure.
Thank you very much for coming on, Jimmy.
Definitely.
And hopefully see you next week.
Yes. With brandy, with a glass of brandy and cigarettes.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to get myself a glass of brandy to keep up with people.
I'll get you. I'll be supplying the brandy. There's no doubt about that. Someone else can supply the ciggies. But absolute pleasure, mate. Look, I've got to give you one of these before you leave. And that's just not from me and Chris. That's from every single person that's in this chat tonight. It's massive respect, and his Twitter handle's on there. If you're not following Jimmy Moore 12, you need to get on there 110%. Jimmy, I'm going to let you go. Have a fantastic rest of the day, evening. I'm not sure what time it is in Atlanta at this moment in time.
Well, once again, thank you, and I'm getting ready for my Tar Heels to come on. So basketball time. So it's a great way to end the day.
Perfect.
Thank you, Jimmy.
You take care. We'll speak to you soon, mate.
Take care, mate.
All right. Thank you.
Brilliant.
Top guy.
Such a great guy. And look, the massive respect for him on the comments. What a gentleman, legend. Yeah, he's He's a great guy, and I think it was a pleasure for both of us to finally be able to sort of share the platform with him on the fans forum or the rant, whatever. I just
We
keep
spoke
saying
to him on Twitter, haven't we, Pete?
Yeah.
Yeah, we spoke to him on Twitter, but I hadn't. Like you, I've not been on a show with him. But he makes some really good points, really, really interesting points as well. And it's funny how he compared himself to Jeff, because with Jimmy, seemingly he a bit like Jeff, he comes out with like comments or suggestions and stuff that like are a bit left field, like you weren't expecting them. Like that Pulisic shout, I thought it was a really good one. Like Christian Pulisic is a good player, and I feel like at Chelsea, if he got more regular game time, I think we'd have seen more of him, and that wouldn't be a bad shout for the summer. Really wouldn't.
No. And you know what? McKennie's a fantastic defensive midfielder. Look, we're stocked, and we've got players that are playing well at the moment in that midfield. So you're going to have to be of a significant standard to be able to breach that sort of that midfield unit at the moment. But he's very, very good as a defensive midfielder. He really is. But Pulisic is a great shout, and like you just said, that he's not playing at Chelsea a lot. Had some injuries, but still at a good age where you could get a lot out of him. He would just take our attacking emphasis on either the right or left to another level. Imagine Pulisic on one side and Maximin on the other, with a potential new striker down the middle, or even Wilson. It'd be frightening what we would be able to achieve on Eddie Howe next season. That's for sure.
Absolutely. We actually have a few questions in for Jimmy, and I have started a few questions from the chat, which hopefully we can get to a bit later on, Pete. I know we're probably pushing it for time, but had some interesting questions in. But yeah, anybody, if I missed your questions for Jimmy, I apologise. I am conscious of time. We've got another guest waiting, but if I didn't get a chance to flash them up on screen, get on Twitter and ask Jimmy, because he really does love interacting on Twitter. So I'm sure he'll answer any questions that you've got.
Definitely. But let's get our next guest in, so not a regular to a chat, but I'm interested to hear his points. It's Darren. How you doing, Darren?
Hello, boys. You all right?
Very good.
You, mate?
Yeah, not too bad. First of all, my pal Jonathan said a couple of weeks ago, and told us about it. I thought absolutely disgusting. A lot of lads have said it's no need for it, and I think they're just jealous, Pete. I can't believe people do that online and all of this. Just wanted to say, mate, we'll appreciate what you do. The fans, we love it. Keep us going, and the team. You know what I mean? I met you once the Christmas party at the end of the night.
Yeah, I did.
But I was just disgusted when I heard about it. You know what I mean?
I appreciate that, mate. Really
bud. The only thing Murphy played on Saturday. I'm not a fan of Murphy. I want to play Mickey Amron, and Murphy's a physical. I think he's got more to offer. Do you know what I mean? Like I think he's got more going forward than Murphy. And I think Murphy doesn't. I'm not a fan of Murphy. He's got the pace, but just doesn't deliver. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. No, I agree, mate.
You know what was weird about Murphy? And I don't know if you, Darren and Chris, whether you agree with this, is that we were talking in just fans talking in the away end, and it's like, when he's having to do something tactically, whether it's attacking or defensively, Murphy he just doesn't seem like he understands what his role is and what he needs to do. But the bits where what I really liked of Murphy is kind of just that instinctiveness about him. Whenever he did something good, he just got the ball and just ran. He just got the ball and just ran at the defence. And when he does that, and it's like just instinctive, he gets the ball, he runs. When he does that and he simplifies his game, the amount of corners that he won us, the amount of times that he got us into attacking areas that were kind of damaging to West Ham, and he might have not got the cross in, but he might have won a throw in, or he might have been able to work the ball where he kept us in possession, give it to Willock or a Joe Linton or something, kept it moving. And it's just that instinctiveness about him that I liked in the game. He didn't do it very often, but when he did, it meant something. And I just think tactically, he's just not quite there yet.
Like you say, I've got Bruno, and people say, "Winter by he's not playing." But I kind of agree with Eddie. How can you drop a midfielder free with 3 wins and 2 draws, so you can't really drop the midfield free. And now Bruno's ready to come in, but you just can't drop the midfield free. You'll have time, weeks, and come in a few games. I think he'll be in the team, but at the minute he can't break the midfield up. The only thing I would say, you could have moved Joe Linton on the left and put Bruno in the centre of it. You know what I mean? That's my opinion.
I'm going to ask a question to both of you. If or when Bruno comes into the team, who are you taking out of the team?
I would, me personally, Shelby.
Okay.
I'm not a fan of Shelby, and I've been playing okay. Anyhow, Mickey subs late. That's the only thing.
Yeah.
He makes him make 5 minutes to go. It's so frustrating because against Villa, Shelby was knackered. You know what I mean? You'd see you brought Bruno on the last 5 minutes. You need to bring him about 10 minutes to freshen the midfield up.
Yeah, it's an interesting one, and you've raised a good point there, Davin, because like we all want Bruno to play, don't we? And everyone's really excited about him. And I think someone put in the chat earlier that apparently he's really pulling up trees in training, and he's really impressing the players and Eddie Howe. And we can't wait for him to get in the team, but it's so difficult at the moment because even I mentioned this a while ago, Pete, and I'm going to touch on it again briefly. And the difficulty we've got in the way that we play. So obviously at the moment we're playing a 4-3-3, and I know that changes slightly when we sometimes play with 2 up fronts, but at the moment it's 4-3-3. And the problem we've got is that we have of the 3, we have Shelby in like the pivot, in like the holding role, and then just in front we've got Joe Linton on the left hand side of the centre, and then we have Joe Willock on the right hand side of the centre. And the problem that we've got is Joe Linton, when he gets anywhere near the 18-yard box, we've seen that he kind of falls to pieces.
Yeah.
But we need him in the middle of the park because he's just everywhere, and he really breaks up the play well. He travels really well with the ball, which, funnily enough, I remember seeing from way back when we were watching all those YouTube videos of him from Hoffenheim. He's fantastic at traveling and driving with the ball, and we've seen that. So he's been a really, really big plus for us this season, the way Eddie Howe's got him playing. And then we've got Joe Willock, who he's box to box, but going forwards, he offers, when he does get near that. Yeah, exactly. So you've got that going forward aspect, but then you have you've got John Joe Shelby in the holding position, and he can do both roles.
But
but obviously he's not got the legs.
He's more like he can't give a free kick away. That's the only thing. Like if they're on the attack, he's a liability for a yellow card or a free kick.
Yeah, it's the legs, isn't it, Davin? It's the legs, and that's the issue. So I think you're right when you say if it had to be any of the 3, it probably would be Shelby, even though I would be reluctant to pull Shelby out the team. But I see why you picked Shelby.
Mate, you see when Bruno come on the last against West Ham, he tried to get a free kick, but he went down too easy. Yeah. And he needs to he can't do that in the Premiership because he tried the best to dive. And the referee had play on, and then he got a free kick. But 2 minutes later, he got a free kick. But he needs to stop that straight away. Do you know? That's the only thing. You can't just play for the free kick. You've got to. That's the only thing I'll say about it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. It's difficult, isn't it? I mean, what would you do, Pete? Or just leave it?
There's only one position that Bruno Fernandes. There's only one player that he's taking out of the team long term, and that's John Joe Shelby. And that's why I asked the question, is that although he's been coming on for Joe Willock gives so much. He covers every blade of grass and then does it again because he works so hard on the pitch that he's just physically shattered by the sort of late 80s minutes. He needs a rest. And you can tell that Eddie Howe's trying to protect him because he knows how hard he works. He doesn't want him in the latter stages picking up a hamstring injury or picking up an injury that's going to keep Joe Willock out long term. I think Eddie Howe knows how important Willock is. So he's bringing Bruno on at that point. For me, if anyone's watched Bruno play and the way in which he plays as a midfielder, he plays the role that Shelby's currently playing.
Yeah.
That's what he plays. So where you've got Joe Linton on the left, you've got Willock on the right, and they're the ones pushing and pressing forward, but they're also getting back, supporting the full backs and tightening in as a 3. Bruno Bruno Fernandes, because I've seen it on the bloody chat.
You
Bruno
said
Guimaraes.
that before, and I didn't correct you.
Yeah,
It's
sorry.
easy, innit? It's
Bruno
easy.
Guimaraes is the one that sits in the middle. So
Yeah.
in that middle, he's the one. He's the playmaker. He can press. He can win the ball back. He can get into a tackle. But what he can do is that he then dictates the play, just like John Joe Shelby does. So if he's going to come in long term for anybody, it's John Joe Shelby. The only thing that's thrown me a little bit is the news that came out today, and it was from Luke Edwards. So you don't know whether to believe it or not. In that both Fabian Shaw and John Joe Shelby are in line to get a new contract.
Oh no,
John Joe Shelby not long ago.
You got a
Had
new
already
one not
signed
long
a
ago.
3-year extension
Yeah,
along with Matt Ritchie. Now, I think to be fair though, I think after this season he has 1 year left.
Yeah.
So
and how about if we want to go, we say the next level, do you give him your contract? Really? Do you know what I mean?
Well, that's the thing.
That's it.
That's the only thing that's thrown me a little bit, because for me, with the contract that Shelby's currently got, it would make sense to keep him for another year, but transition him out into being a squad player. Bring Bruno in as the main starter, and then you see him out and bring someone else in. But whether he sees kind of Shelby as someone that can play on for another 3 years or so and play in this system, I don't know. It's an interesting one, but yeah, that's thrown me slightly. But for me, he comes in. Bruno Guimaraes comes in for John Joe Shelby. He's that man in the middle that will then dictate the play. You will see the performances that the players and the management have seen in training when he plays that position. He cannot play as a high presser, attacking midfielder, because that's not his game. He said it in his interview when he first signed. He's not that type of player. And if you want to get the best out of Bruno Guimaraes, you play him where Shelby is right now.
Will you play him on Saturday, Bruno?
No. And look, I would love nothing more than to see Bruno Guimaraes start for Newcastle United. But the way in which that midfield as a 3 are playing right now, and how connected they are and how they understand each other, we're not in a position to start tinkering that and messing around with it, because we don't want to knock their flow. We don't want to drop players' confidences when we're flying high at the moment, unbeaten in 6, potentially can go on to win again. And be unbeaten in 7 by getting something from Brentford at the weekend. We're not in a position where we're comfortable in a league where we can start chopping and changing players. I think if we were comfortable, if we were where Villa are or where Leicester are right now, or even Southampton, I think we would have seen Bruno Guimaraes start a number of games already. I think he'd have been brought straight into the team. But because we need a settled team, I think that's why, under frustration, because I think Eddie Howe's frustrated as well. I think Eddie Howe needs him and wants him in there. I think some of the players want him in there as well, but you cannot change a team that are performing as well as we are right now. We're in the top 5 performance in the Premier League, unbeaten in 6. We're just. It just wouldn't be right to make that change, in my opinion.
So would you play Murphy again? Would you, or do you would stick with Murphy? Or do you play Mickey? I'm Ron.
I'm fingers, toes, everything crossed that Alan said Maximin is fit on Saturday.
I'm not a massive love of Maximin, to fit my personal opinion. I watched against Everton the first time. I know people say he's unplayable. He spent more time on the floor, and every time you got tapped, and then he's faking his injury, and I don't know. He plays what he wants to play. I'm not a love of Maximin. Be personally, I thought we'll play better without him in the team, like you say. Murphy was tracking back and doing more defensive thing. What so Maximin was doing. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. To be fair, Davin, it's. Oh, sorry, Pete. Go on, mate.
No, go on, mate. Go for it.
No, I was just going to say. To be fair, I know what you mean, and like maybe the Everton game probably not a great example to use, Davin, only because like I think St Maximin won that game for us. But what I will say is some of the flaws that St Maximin has. Particularly, and you've rightly pointed it out, particularly the feigning of injury, it can be frustrating. I mean, because things have been going our way recently, it's not been an issue. But like, if the performances weren't as good and we were struggling and he was carrying on like that, I think there'd be a lot of fans saying exactly what you're saying.
Doesn't release the ball is a more sort of frustrating thing. At the right time, you keep hold of the ball. Just I don't know. I'm not a lover of him. I like he's scary, he's fast. But he just needs to pass the ball a little bit more fast. Like, you know what I mean?
He's still only 24 then.
Is he?
Alan St. Maximin.
Yeah.
24. He's 24 years
crazy,
old.
that,
He's
isn't it?
still,
Crazy.
you know, he's not. The thing about Alan St. Maximin is that he's not even nowhere near his peak yet. He's going to peak at 27, 28 years old. Like, he's 24. He's got like 4 years of growing and development. You know, I'll give you an example. Mikel Merino, when we signed him from Borussia Dortmund for £5 million centre midfielder. He had an okay season for us. He had moments where he looked very good at the beginning. Then he had an injury, and then he struggled to get back in the team because Rafa Benitez had the team playing so well. He got frustrated. He said, look, you either play me or you move me on. He got moved on. He went to Real Sociedad. He is pulling up. He's not putting up little trees. He's putting up 800 years chunks worth of trees. He's tearing it up right now. He's in the Spanish squad, playing regularly at international level. He is a top midfielder. And you know what? It's because when we signed him, he was 21 years old. He's had a few years now to develop. He's now, 25, 26, and he's now coming into the peak of his career. He would be a guy I would love to get back in, because if he came back in, he would just dictate the play. He would destroy defenses with his range of passing. He's just a terrific player. What I would say is with Alan St. Maximin is, as frustrating as he is, he's actually been a hell of a lot better in his overall game this season, which tells me and gives me confidence that he's on his way to finding the right type of overall style of football. He's been better than he has been. This has been his best year of football, not just for goals and assists, but just his overall play. Yes, he has times when he doesn't defend, and you're going to get that from him. We had it from Robert, Ben Arthur, Ginola. Those style of players, they always have that moment where they don't do what they need to do. But his overall game is massively improving. The one thing I'll say about Alan St. Maximin that I've not talked about before is the fact that I was pleasantly surprised to see yesterday that he put, I think it was yesterday or today, where he put on his Instagram where he's actually doing weights.
Seen it.
Because he's well known for not doing weights at all, which I think is one of the biggest problems as to why he picks up his muscle injuries. But if you notice this season, with him training in the summer, where you saw him on holiday, doing his sprint running, doing all his training, he is now putting the building blocks in place to not only avoid injury. This has been his first injury in a long time this season. He's playing more 90 minutes than ever before. And what you're finding from St. Maximin is he's starting to understand what it takes to be an elite footballer.
Yeah.
So putting these building blocks in place, he will get there. He will get there. We need to be patient with him. We need to understand him. He's been a lot more measured in when he comes out with his moments of brilliance. He's lasting 90 minutes, which is the biggest plus. He's able to still do those runs. You watch against Everton, 80, 90 minutes, he was still making those lung-busting runs. He weren't doing that before. He could barely get to 80 minutes when he was doing all this and around the pitch. He's growing as a player. We've seen him grow, and I'm just so glad he's doing it with Newcastle, because I think he'll only get better.
I've got to say, Dan Burn had a blind hand against West Ham.
He
looked
did.
solid.
Yeah, superb.
What a guy.
And Lascelles, I think I've seen him be on the bench for a while, and I think him being on the bench, I think, will make him a wake-up call. He's got to be more, play a lot better, which is a good thing. So he's not guaranteed a first-team place. Do you know what I mean? Depending
on what happens in the summer, and I don't know what you guys think about this, in my opinion, depending on what happens on the summer and whether we can get the likes of Sven Botman and maybe one other in, I can see Lascelles getting sold in the summer. I really can. The perfect way of taking the armband away from him is moving him on to someone like a Watford or a Norwich, or moving him on to a team like that. Maybe he's playing Championship football, or maybe
that's what he is, Championship player.
I honestly, I can really see him moving on in the summer. If we get our targets who we want, if we get the likes of Sven Botman in the summer, and we really want him, and maybe one other, we potentially get a Tarkowski on a free. If he comes to us in the summer, if we got those two centre backs along with Shaw, I don't think Lascelles stays.
Lascelles
want to sit on the bench.
No, I agree, Pete. Lascelles. I mean, we've said it before, haven't we? Like, I'd put Shah ahead of Lascelles. I'd put Fernandez ahead of Lascelles. And we've barely even seen Fernandez this season. But I think, me personally, I would sooner us keep I would sooner us keep Fernandez as like a 4th or 5th choice centre back than keep Lascelles. And I think, like, you're absolutely right. Botman comes in. We've already got Byrne. Botman isn't definitely coming in, but say we did sign Botman. I think we're also going to go for that right-sided centre back as well. Could even be Diego Carlos again, couldn't it? Those rumours still won't go away. If we sign 2 centre backs this summer, there's no place for Lascelles.
Yeah, and I say, like, I do think it's time for him to move on personally. I think he's done his time, and it's time for him to move on.
60 million for Botman. Going hard with him, big money, 60 million, prize him away from Lille, and then get Tarkovsky on a free.
Yeah, even now on a free.
Great call,
great business.
Yeah.
We don't have to go and spend the money. The money that Seville wanted for Diego Carlos. They will not get that money again in the summer. They won't even demand that money in the summer.
Apparently, the fee was agreed, but every time they put an extra £5 million.
They know for a fact they're not going to get that same money for him in the summer, whether it's us or anybody else. I don't think we go back in for Diego Carlos. That was a case of either now or never, and I don't think we go back in. And that's why he put a transfer request in. That's why he pushed for me, because he knew he wasn't going to get that type of deal again on those sort of wages. And I think someone like Tarkovsky, if you picked him up on a free at 28, 29 years old, he'll do
for at least 4 years. He's a Premiership player. He knows how to deal with
Botman,
great signing.
Left-sided centre backs, right-sided centre backs, Shah and Tarkovsky, all 4 good on the ball, all great in the air, all organised defenders. Your centre-back pairing's set.
Yeah,
you pick any one of them, and they'll do a job for you.
Yeah, exactly.
So, right, cheers, boys. Thank you.
Hey, Darren, top man, absolutely top man.
Thank you so much for coming on, mate. Take care.
Bye.
Great points from Darren. Great points.
Great chat from Darren. Good knowledge as well. Great questions. Absolutely spot on. And you know what? I need to say,
go on, mate.
I need to say, there's been so many great questions.
I know. Just what I was going to say. I flagged them all. So what we'll have to do, if you're keen, is go through them, but we'll restrict each other to like one sentence answers.
Yeah.
Because there is some fantastic ones. What I'll do is I'll ask you the question, you answer it, and then I'll give my opinion. But like I say, we'll stick to them short and sweet, because I am conscious of time. But yeah, there's been some fantastic questions, and I was thinking to myself, I hope we get a chance to go through these.
Yeah, definitely.
Really good
you know what? We've got to have a question time at the end of each show.
Yeah, we do.
Because these questions are too good to not be going through. And I know just before you were unwell, we had a little bit of a question time at the end of each show. So yeah, go for it, man.
Yeah. Okay. So this one come really early from We Are United. Can't we try Gale up front instead of Woods? He's more pace and he knows where the goal is.
You know what? I would say yes, but Gale's pace is gone. If you watched him when he came on as sub against Man United over Christmas, his pace wasn't there. He was trying. He was really slow. I actually think Wood is probably faster than Gale at this moment.
I believe that, yeah.
The way he's running and the way he presses the ball. Maybe I'm being a little bit harsh on Gale, but he's certainly lost that lightning pace that he had before. He's definitely not the same.
Yeah, and if you look at the job that Wood is doing for us at the moment, we're talking about aerial duels, and there's not that many opportunities. The balls aren't pinging in. Probably one of the worst players you could hope for to have up front in that position right now would be a Dwight Gale, because he just wouldn't do the same job as Wood. He really wouldn't. But yeah, I mean, it's a good point. We are United, and you never know. I mean, the other thing as well to consider is that, and I've said this about a few other players before. This is now like, Bruce wouldn't even put Gale in the team, and now Eddie Howe's not putting Gale in the team, so it's speaking volumes.
There's something not right there.
Yeah.
Each manager, Benitez before, then it was Bruce, now Eddie Howe. None of them are playing him. Even when we're struggling for strikers, we've gone and spent 25 million on Wood instead of bringing in Gale as an immediate. There's something not right there.
Yeah. It's not. You're absolutely right. There's something fishy. Right, next one, Pete, and this one's a bit of an easier one. And this is from Gary Milligan. How many more points do we need? We are on 22.
Yeah, I said it before, and I'll say it again. We need 13 more points to stay in the Premier League. We need, I think 35 points keeps us in the Premier League this season. I think 38 guarantees it. So I had it before Saturday's game. I had the, and I hope my maths is right, 4 wins, 4 draws keeps us in the Premier League. So yeah, guarantees us in the Premier League. I think we need that was before West Ham. We need less than that now. So yeah, 13 points I think does it. You got to realize that even with everything that's going on at the moment, like even at this moment in time, Burnley need 6 points to overturn us. Watford, is it? No, I think it's Watford. Watford, the ones in 18th at the moment.
Watford are 18th, and they're on 18 points.
Yeah,
we're on the same games.
Watford needs 6 points to overturn us. Okay, to be a point ahead of us in the league.
5 to go a point ahead of us.
Yeah. Oh. Yeah, sorry. Yeah, 5. Sorry, they need 5 to go ahead of us, but they played the same amount of games.
That's right.
Burnley, sorry, that's right. Burnley needs 6 points, and they've obviously got their game in hand. One of which against Tottenham midweek. I don't see, providing we keep picking up points like you mentioned earlier. As long as we keep ticking away and we get a point here, 3 points there, I don't think Burnley or Watford will be as consistent as us between now and the end of the season to overturn the 5 points for Watford or the 6 points for Burnley to be able to sustain that to ensure that they stay in the league. I don't see them doing that. And you know what? Even if they do, I think we beat Brentford on Saturday, and I think Brentford would end up being down there before we are. That's my opinion. That's why this game, every game's massive, but this is why I think this game is massive, is because if we have Brentford below us in the league, I don't think they go above us again. I think they stay below us, and that's then 4 teams below us at the very least, and that's not even including the likes of Everton and Leeds that we could potentially go ahead at the weekend as well. So I think we're in a good position, providing that we keep playing the way we do.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, there's 14 games left. 5 wins would get us on 37. I believe, is that right? Yeah, 37. I said a while ago I thought 36 would be enough. And like you, Pete, now, I'm thinking 35 will probably be enough. Because Jeff made a really good point at the very start of the show where we just need to focus on ourselves because we're worried about teams picking points up and stuff like that. I mean, just looking at Burnley. Burnley have won 2 games all season. People keep going, "Oh, Burnley have got 2 games in hand." Burnley was have to win like 4, 5, 6 matches. I just don't see Burnley winning that many matches. I just don't see it. I don't think they've got it in the locker.
No, I agree with you. And Apocalyptic Workshop said Burnley are playing well. I can see them getting some wins. I can here and there, but there'll be surprise wins, a bit like Saturday. I can't see Burnley putting a regular run of results. Burnley don't concede many, but they don't score many either. And Saturday was the anomaly. I don't expect Burnley to go and score 2-3 goals per game moving forward. I just don't see it. I don't see them playing that way. And I think teams will turn them over. It'll be they've
got a point against Man United, and they've got a win against Brighton. But like you say, they're having their little patch at the moment. We've all had patches. Our patch is currently ongoing at the present. Our purple patch. But Burnley, I don't think they'll be able to sustain it. And all it takes is 1 or 2 injuries, heads down, and then they're going to go back to where they were. That's certainly how I see it. Same with Watford. I don't think Watford have got it either. I don't think they're going to have enough in the end. Right, let me just see if there's. Here we go. Right, I think you highlighted this one, Pete. Tony, if fit, will be a threat to us. Meaning for the Brentford game at the weekend.
In my opinion, Tony's not injured. In my opinion, Tony's been suspended because of the stuff where he came out on social media and basically said that Brentford is shit because he was trying to get with a girl or something like that. What he did, he hasn't played since. He's not even been in the squad since. He wasn't in the squad on Saturday. Will he come back on Saturday? Probably. I'd be surprised if he starts, because I don't think they are going to want to take the risk. I think they're going to have to bring him back at some point because they need him. But I don't know if they're going to take the risk of the raft of Brentford fans by putting him in the team and having him get booed by his own fans.
Especially at the home game. Especially at the home game.
I wouldn't mind that, because I think that helps us. I think that takes Brentford's head off the game. It takes Ivan Toney's head off the game. And I think that improves our chances. I don't know whether Thomas Frank's going to take that risk. And you're right. I think doing it at a home game where he could get a lot of negative reaction is probably not the right time to do it. Maybe an away game, bring him back, and only have a small section of Brentford fans that are likely to boo him, where it's not going to get heard as much, is probably the right move. Also, they're bringing Christian Eriksen into the team as well. So bringing two new players into the team that haven't played for a while may not necessarily be the right thing. But you know what? Regardless of Christian Eriksen, regardless of Ivan Toney, I still think we win the game.
Yeah,
I do. This is not the Newcastle defence that played when we played them up at St James's Park, and even then we gifted them 2 goals. We gifted them. 2 goals.
We did.
Yeah,
We were
so,
all over the place. I think that was that was Eddie Howe's first game, wasn't it?
Yeah, but he had COVID, so he wasn't in the dugout.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. I was there for that, and we just, if you look back at that performance and then look at the performance just gone at the weekend, it's again, to use the same expression, it's night and day. It really is.
Definitely, mate. Definitely.
Interesting point from John. Gary Milliken, do Chris and Pete think we should try and sign competition for ASM like a Rafinha?
110%. Rafinha needs to be in black and white next season. If I'm looking at a right-sided winger, to take Fraser's position, it's Rafinha.
It's him.
Rafinha is the man, and you know what? He wants to leave. He's going to have options. He's going to have options for teams that are playing in Europe in the Champions League. So that's going to be the hardest part. But you know what? Joe Linton, Bruno Guimaraes, the project. There's 3 reasons why Rafinha may sign for us. So he already knows Bruno Guimaraes from international duty. They know each other well. That could be the thing that entices him to Newcastle. We've certainly got the money. I would love Rafinha to sign for Newcastle. He would be a terrific signing. Rafinha is ready to leave Leeds. Rafinha is having up and down moments at Leeds this season because he's done all he can at the club. He should have only had 1 season there. He should have left in the summer. And I think he realises that now. He needed to go on to make the next step. Now, although we're lower than them in the league, with our project and where we predict ourselves to be, we are the next step for him. We could take him into Europe, in my opinion. But I think it's going to be tough because I think top teams are going to be after him.
Yeah. You're absolutely right when you talk about the window as well, Pete. We're a different beast or a different option in the summer. Because right now, we've not been able to get, or I say right now, in January, we weren't able to get certain players because you could tell they just looked at the league table and were like, nah, too much of a risk. In the summer, different kettle of fish, because everyone thinks, Newcastle made a fantastic second half to the season, managed to stay up, fingers crossed. What are they going to do next season? If we start the summer transfer window with a big signing, everyone else is going to be looking around going, hang on, do I want to be involved in this for next season? Yeah, I do.
And we will. I think we're going to start the summer transfer window with an absolute bang. No more of the days where we wait till later on in the window. Before we
like a Trippier signing.
Yeah, I really do. I think by early June, I think we'll have a big deal agreed with maybe whether it's Sven Botman or whether it's another top player. I think we'll have a big signing wrapped up. And it'll be done for exactly what you've just said, Chris, is to let the European world know that we're not messing around and we're looking to sign the best. We as Newcastle fans think the January transfer window was mad. This summer, if we stay in the league, when we stay in the league, is going to be even worse. We are going to be linked to every player you can think of. But equally, every top player that's out there that's looking for a move is going to want to come to
They'll
us.
fancy a go. They'll fancy a go.
100%.
Definitely. Brian Johnson asks, what do you think about Jacob Murphy? I think there's a really top class lad there. Now, Brian, I'll answer this one dead quick before Pete. Really good point that you make. And I agree. I think there is a really top class lad there. I don't think there's a really top class player there. And that's the issue. I think Jacob Murphy, Newcastle fan, you see the effort from him. I know that he really wants to succeed. But I would be majorly surprised if in 12 to 18 months, Jacob Murphy still plays for Newcastle.
Yeah. Top lad, squad player at best for Newcastle. And that's at best right now. After the season, he's going to struggle. And I think reluctantly we're going to have to let him go. And I say reluctantly because he's born into a Geordie family. His family support the club, and it's a shame to let a player like that go. And he's still a decent age, but unfortunately, the direction that we're going. The one thing I'll say is that this is his audition between now and the end of the season to show Eddie Howe that he's capable and he's got the ability to play at a higher level. That means he can be given another season or two at the club. And at the moment, he's just not quite doing it. And in the summer, not just Eddie Howe, but the ownership are going to want better players coming in. And unfortunately, he's going to be left by the wayside. So, yeah, it's a shame, but in order to progress the club, it's what we've got to do.
Yeah, I agree, mate. I agree. Mark Todd, I just love this one. That's why I flagged it, because I just love it. Here's a couple of rumours about Bruno being unreal in training and blowing minds. Wondered if Eddie Howe will convert the way we play when we play the big boys.
Yeah. Look, one thing's for certain, that Eddie Howe is capable of converting the way we play, because tactically he's aware, he understands. Tactically against big clubs, he can change formations and styles to play certain ways to stop them playing and benefit us. Do I think he'll do it this season? Probably not. But I think that'll be coming into his thinking maybe next season, where he changes the style and changes the way we play. It wouldn't even surprise me in certain games that he has John Joe Shelvey and Bruno together as that block, that low.
Could be the 4-2-3-1, couldn't it, Pete?
Yeah, quite easily. You could flip it into that, and you could play either Joe Linton or Willock there as an option further forward, and play it that way, and we'd still be as effective as a midfield. You could change it however you want. We've got the two that are pushing up at the moment, but you could quite easily have the two sitting back, and that would depend. It'd be interesting to see Chelsea at Stamford Bridge whether we do that.
Very.
Just to kind of shut up shop and control possession in that midfield, to have them both playing alongside each other with either a Joe Linton or a Willett just bombing forward. Or you might just go, you know what, this is the way I want us to play this season. Fuck it. We'll just do what we normally do, and we'll press them high and we'll cause problems. So yeah, but more so than anything, we've got a manager that's tactically able to do that. So
yeah. Exactly. I think you'll see a lot of in-game stuff being changed. And don't forget, Pete, it was a point I wanted to make before, actually. Bruno's been a little bit unlucky the last few games, because I think at times when Eddie Howe's maybe wanted to bring him on, injuries have forced his hand, where we had to make a couple of subs, so we ran out of subs. And also, they were important parts of the game, especially between 60 and 80 minutes. They've been an important part of the games. You could see, Pete, but on the 60-minute mark at the weekend, and fingers crossed this is the case, if we're 2-0 up against Brentford, wouldn't surprise me if he brought Bruno on for Shelvey. Job's done. Shut up shop, let him just dictate the play. But again, if it's tight, why change it? Why mix it round just to get a player on the pitch? It's just not worth it.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. Definitely.
We had a few comments here. We had to put these on, Pete. This is when we were talking about the brandy.
I saw it.
Yeah, we flagged them.
Truthful. No Pinot.
Always thought your brandy was neat.
My brandy was neat. I'd be like this right now.
You'd be on your back, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
Yeah. So if I ask you what you want in your brandy, what would you say? Another brandy?
Yeah. Why not?
Why not? Yeah. More brandy, the better. Right. Let me see. BT likes Remy Martin.
Oh, lovely. I'm a big Hennessy fan.
Don't think I've had Remy Martin.
Yeah, lovely. Expensive. expensive, but more of an expensive brandy. Napoleon is a cheaper version. Lovely. Napoleon is nice. E&J, I'm a big fan of E&J. 3 Barrels. Martel is just a lovely, nice. It just goes down like a dream. Martel brandy. And then Hennessy. Hennessy, I tend to get for like Christmas and New Year's.
Yeah,
I
bit of a treat.
Yeah, a little bit more expensive, but like nice. Like if we're celebrating a big event, Remy Martin. Why not?
Yeah. Oh, if you're on our show, you could do what Jeff picks. Jeff likes Tesco Blue Label.
Tesco Blue.
He's already put on before Tesco Blue Label. Oh. So Mike Gents asks, do you think if Willock continues in this form, he gets a call from Southgate?
Yes, really interesting. I was having a chat with one of the lads in the stands at half time, and the one thing I said was, and we were talking about England, but we were talking about Dan Burn actually. We were talking about Dan Burn potentially getting in the England team with regards to centre backs in the way he's playing. I then raised the question. I said, "Well, what are the centre midfielders are around at the moment that are pushing closer to a start for England than Joe Willock? You've got Jordan Henderson that's barely kicking the ball recently. He's getting injured a lot and more consistently getting injured, so he's not playing as much football. Still a quality player, but just not playing as much. 32, 33 now, so coming towards the end of his career. You've got Declan Rice, who quite interestingly, Willock outplayed at the weekend. I know it's only one game, but I could see those two playing together. You've got Calvin Phillips that's barely kicked a ball all season. And then who else really have you got that could command a position in that England team that's the same age as him, that's got the same energy that him, that can travel with long distances with the ball like him, that can nick a goal in tight spaces? For me, Joe Willock in a team like England that are going to dominate a lot of possession in games is going to, for me, perform really, really well in an England team. They're 22 years old. For me, he's someone that should be at least on the fringes of being chosen for England, in my opinion. I think he's got a great chance. He's got a great chance. And now, you know what? I'll be disappointed that if Willock keeps playing the way he does, I'll be disappointed that if Southgate hasn't at least given him a call. Not necessarily called him up, but gave him a call to say, you might have missed out of this squad, but I've been watching you. I like the way you're playing. Keep doing what you're doing. I think he at least deserves that. Jude Bellingham's a great shout, and you're absolutely right. I completely forgot about him. He's an absolutely supreme talent. But who's to say that Jude Bellingham and Joe Willock can't play in the same team?
Why not? Could even adopt the three in midfield. Who knows?
And that's for Newcastle as well as England.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Max Neodes says, Chris, with your knowledge of Everton, do you think we'll finish above them this season? I would like to think that we can. I've got my wife next to me saying you can't. I think Frank Lampard's got a big job on his hands already. I noticed on social media that people were saying, people were highlighting Donny van de Beek's performance at the weekend, saying it was so poor. I don't know why that's such a surprise to people, because he hasn't played much football at Man United. He made a good appearance for them the previous game where they got the win. I think it was against Leeds, and apparently he was really good. I didn't watch all of that game, but yeah, they were impressed with that. But I think the problems Everton have got aren't going to go away anytime soon, and Frank Lampard needs time. Do I think we can finish above them? Yeah. I still don't think they'll go down. I think they do have too much quality. I know that's a bit of a cliche comment, but I do think they'll have too much. And I've said to my brother-in-law and to my wife, I've said I think the 3 teams below us at the moment, they're too poor. And I think Brentford, you could argue, could be the 4th team that have finished below us. That's why I think we'll finish 15th and above quite comfortably. Especially the way we're playing at the moment, and I think Everton will be the same. I think once they hit a little bit of form and once they start playing the way Frank Lampard wants them to play, I think they will improve. But I tell you what, next season we'll definitely finish above them. I'm calling that now.
Yeah,
definitely.
Chris, I think finish above them this season and for the rest of the seasons moving forward. I really do. I don't know the list right now, but I looked at it earlier, and Everton's running is not good.
It's not good.
It's worse than
It's
ours.
not. Yeah, it is.
You know, we've got some top teams to play in April, beginning of May. Sorry, they've got a tough running, and they are not playing well. And the one thing I'll say is for Frank Lampard's name, he hasn't yet proven his capabilities as a manager. He's never been in a relegation battle. Eddie Howe has. He knows how to stay in leagues. Or yes, he got relegated, but he knows what he needs to do in order to get teams playing. He's already got us playing. We haven't seen Everton playing yet. They've had an odd game in the FA Cup and then the odd game against Leeds, who, let's face it, it seems like anyone can pick Leeds apart at the moment, the way they're playing. So I wouldn't take that as a gospel that things are moving in the right direction. They've gone to Southampton. That was the rubber stamp moment to say, right, I'm Frank Lampard, I'm here. I put my stamp on Everton. And what did he do? He got beat 2-0. For me, I don't think it's outside of the realms of possibility that Everton could get relegated this season.
Yeah, it's not.
They've got all their players back, but yet they're still putting in performances like they did on Saturday. And when you've got someone like Dele Alli, who's not even getting into the team or even looking like he's playing anywhere near his capability, and you've got Donny van de Beek that was atrocious by Everton fans' accounts, not anybody else's accounts. Everton fans are saying he was dreadful. For me, Donny van de Beek needs to leave England. He needs to go and play in another country. He needs to start again. I would even take him. I'd even say, you know what, go back to Ajax, start over again, and rebuild your career. Because I don't see him improving in an Everton team that's not playing well. When you're in Everton, you need a player like Dele Alli and Van der Beek to come in and be a catalyst for change and to really kind of stamp your authority. We've had that with Shelby. Joe Linton, Alan Maximin does it. Kieran Trippier certainly did it. Dan Burns doing it at the moment. We've got those players that are really standing up and saying, you know what, I'm going to make a difference here. We've got 5 or 6 players doing that. They've not got one. Calvert-Lewin's played 3 or 4 games now, and he still doesn't look ready.
Do you think, Pete, and this is just a separate one, only a slight side one. Obviously, we were linked with Van der Beek, and apparently Van der Beek said no to Newcastle because he didn't want to be in a relegation battle. We don't actually know that for fact, but that's apparently what was said. Dele Alli, apparently we made a late move for Dele Alli, got rebuffed, and he was on his way to Everton. That was that. Do you think that we definitely made a move for those 2 players? And, you know, judging from the fact that the ownership are big, and Eddie Howe, the ownership and the scouting team and and Eddie Howe are big on personality and attitudes. Do you think that we actually made a move for those players, or are you not convinced that we did?
I'll start with Dele Alli, and I'm not going to say that I know this because I didn't, but it was actually Craig Hope that mentioned it. Now, he was adamant that we didn't at any point in the transfer window up until deadline day, we didn't have any interest in Dele Alli whatsoever. We didn't even register an interest. The only time we registered an interest is when the Lingard deal fell through, and we tried to get him late on in the deadline day window. When we were on air, when we were doing the deadline day shows later on, that was the only time we looked to even ask the question. I don't think there was any interest in Dele Alli whatsoever from Newcastle United.
And do you think maybe we shut down Pete in the fact that Tottenham turned around and went, no, it's a permanent deal? And that's what Everton had to do. They had to make that deal permanent. Everton have committed to paying 40 million for Dele Alli regardless. So they're stuck with him now. Whereas would we have maybe gone for the summer and gone, oh yeah, we'll have him on loan, and Tottenham have gone, no, it's permanent, and maybe we've backed out.
I think
£40 million, Pete. It's the same as Gomeres.
I think that would have been quoted to us on the day of the deadline day. I don't think that would have been quoted to us before because, you know, hearing what Craig Hope had said, we hadn't even registered an interest in him throughout the whole window at all. But I think we were quoted that and we've said no. If we said no to Jesse Lingard paying 30 million for a 6-month loan, 4-month loan, there's no way we're paying that for Dele Alli. At least Lingard's played well on loan at West Ham and showed his capabilities. Dele Alli hadn't at Tottenham and wasn't playing well. So to then go splash 40 million on him, could we afford it? Yeah, but I don't think these owners are as sort of. I think they're more streetwise to that situation and not pay that kind of money. The Van der Beek one, I personally think he was third choice at Man United. I think we wanted Lingard as a priority, then we wanted Dean Henderson. And if none of those deals came off, then we would have looked at Van der Beek as a last resort. And I think Van der Beek knew that, which is why he then ended up going to Everton, because he knew he was going to be guaranteed getting game time.
It was interesting. Sean Casey said when he was on Loaded with us, I'm sure he said that the ownership had no interest in Van der Beek and that Van der Beek wasn't nearly good enough in the eyes of the ownership and Eddie Howe. They said tactically, I'm sure he said tactically, he's not to the standard that they would want.
Yeah,
which I thought was an interesting comment.
Yeah, and I would agree with that. Look, Bruno Guimaraes was left field. Nobody thought we were linked with him. We did the fully loaded transfer shows, and there wasn't even one inkling from anybody in France that we were linked with him. There was no build up to Bruno Guimaraes. My brother, when he was on as a French journalist, hadn't heard anything. Nobody had. None of them on. Jonathan Johnson, fantastic French journalist, reporter, one of the top ones in France. He'd not even heard of it either. That came left field, which says to me that the type of players Newcastle are looking at are not necessarily the ones that the English media throw in our faces all the time. The Van der Beeks, the Dele Allis, those type of players. I think we're going to be surprised in the summer, the type of quality of player that we're going to go for. Not just the type of quality, but the name of the player that we're going for. We were linked with a couple of players in Italy late in the window. I think one of them, was it in Napoli? Oh, I can't remember his name now. A young lad, might have been. I can't remember his name, and I don't want to get it wrong. But we were linked with a couple of other lads late on in the window that only came out when the window shut, that we were linked with them.
Yeah.
I think we're going to be linked with players that we're not expecting to be linked with. And that's the beauty of what this ownership is going to put together. And then the X factor, Dan Ashworth. Dan Ashworth will make sure those deals get done. That's the key.
Yeah, absolutely, mate. I'm going to whiz through a few more before we finish up. A name I know, and a name that I would get really excited about if we could do it. Mad Margaret Mark. I always have to take my time saying that. Christopher Nkunku from RB Leipzig would be an amazing purchase in the season as a right-sided attacker in the front three. He's my dream summer signing in the summer. He's my dream signing in the summer.
What a player.
Yeah.
What a player. I knew about this player. Obviously, my brother being a journalist in France and a season ticket holder at PSG, he talked about Christopher Nkunku a lot when he was at PSG. And he was actually quite disappointed when they sold him, because he felt like he could have really, if they'd have tried to keep him at that point and not just cash in, he felt he could have been a mainstay in PSG's midfield, but they were just too heavily stacked at that point in time and needed to move players out. And now look at him. Arsenal were very close to signing him as well, and I bet Arsenal are kicking themselves.
Yeah, they must be.
They missed out on him because he's gone from strength to strength. Would I take him in the summer? 100%. He's a top player and young as well. He's still young, still a young midfielder that's got years, 7, 8, 9 years to grow into being one of the best in Europe.
Yeah. No, I agree, mate. I agree. Life goals. He's asked 2 questions here, so I'm just going to tag them in at the same. Will Matt Ritchie ever play for the club again if Fraser, ASM and Targett stay fit for the final 14 games? And what will Ritchie's legacy be, in your opinion? Does he rank alongside Warren Barton and players of that ilk?
Oh, that's a great question. A very, very good question. It's
a really good question, isn't it?
Definitely. I'll answer the first part. Will he play for the club again? Yes, between now and then the season he will. He's obviously injured at the moment. I think he'll play. Will he start, providing those guys stay fit? No, I don't think he'll start. I think he'll leave in the summer. He'll be one of the first out. Matt Ritchie prides himself on playing football regularly. He just wants to play football, which is why he nearly left last January. He'll know in his heart of hearts he's not going to play regularly for Newcastle again. So he'll look to move on in the summer. It wouldn't even surprise me if he goes back to Bournemouth if they get promoted with Scott Parker. I think that's a nice move for him. Back home with his family, playing in a team that's still playing Premier League football, got experience, can see them through. Will he be seen as a sort of legend or in the same ilk as Warren Barton? Probably not. Should he? Definitely. I've got an opinion on all of these players: John Joe Shelvey, Jamal Lascelles, Matt Ritchie. You could go through the list. There's many more. Florian Lejeune, DeAndre Yedlin. All of these players deserve absolutely all of the respect that some of our former legends have got in recent years. And I'll tell you why. It's because they stayed and played at this club during their worst possible time to be playing for Newcastle United. And they saw us through some horrible, horrible moments, relegations, going back up to the Championship, lack of investment, through the loss of Rafa Benitez. And they stayed and they fought. They didn't fight to leave. They didn't push for moves. They loved and respected playing for Newcastle United. No matter what you think about John Joe Shelvey, in every single interview, he talks about Newcastle in such a positive light. He loves the city. He loves the people. He loves playing for this club. And it doesn't surprise me that he's happy to sign a new deal. He'll probably be happy to sign a new deal sitting on the bench and playing 15, 20 games a season. He'd be quite happy with that. All these guys deserve the absolute respect because they've played through one of our darkest moments in our club's history. They deserve all the respect. And they will be the type of players that will come back and they'll support the club and they'll love the club and they'll be welcome back, and they should be, because they should have had better times at Newcastle. But our owners and our manager, our last manager anyway, ruined that opportunity for us to progress as a club. Not their fault, the owner's fault, and our previous manager's fault. 100%. I don't know what you think, Chris. What do you think?
No, I agree, mate. Yeah, it's harsh on them really, because you're right. The only thing is with a couple of the players, I won't say Shelvey as such, but even though I could have 6 months ago I could have, but maybe a couple of players have just stayed that little bit too long. So like if Matt Ritchie had left at the start of this season, I think people would look back and go, oh, what a fantastic servant. And he has been a fantastic servant. And I've got the utmost respect for the likes of Matt Ritchie. I'd feel the same way about Federico Fernandez. I'd feel to a degree the same way about Kevin Clark. I think, Kevin Clark, things have turned sour for him. It's certainly in the last 6 months. But, in the championship season, he came in and he did a big job for us. He really did. And he had some really good performances under Rafa Benitez. And let's not forget, these players were given contracts by the club and we had the owner that we had. And they came in and they do a job. They're doing the very best. The fact that they're not good enough, that's not their fault. They should have been moved on a long time ago. And the fact that they weren't is through the fault of the previous owner and management picking them. But there'll be a few players that I look back on, and I think, they did a job for us, and fair play to them, and hopefully they do get welcome back to the club in years to come, and they will be part of the history, and they will be able to look back and think we started that journey, and fair play to them. And that kind of leads me in nicely to me next question for you, Pete, or my last question. And I'm gonna make this my last one because my internet, as you've probably noticed, is dying a death. So I'll make sure I'll make sure this is my last one. I'm going to tag a few in here. So Chris asks, Pete, Chris, do you think we may go for Bruno's mate, Lucas Paqueta, for Leon in the summer? Now, mate, I mean, that would be great, but I'm going to add into that because there's been a couple of other questions which I think are interesting. Other signings. So I'm going to add Matt Targett into that. So we've got Lucas Paqueta from Leon. We've got Matt Targett from Villa. And I'm also going to add in there, and I forget who said it, but it's a good one. Oh yeah, Keith Roll, our good friend Keith, Jesse Lingard. So if we were to sign Lucas Paqueta, Matty Targett, and Jesse Lingard, would you take all three, or would there be one or two that you'd like and maybe not the other one?
All three improve the squad. There's no doubt about it, and actually improve the first 11. So yeah, I would take all three. Lucas Paqueta, like. If we got him, you would see a masterclass on a weekly basis between him and Bruno Guimaraes, because they're not just best friends. They've got a level of understanding that just sinks like nobody else. They are just a dream partnership to play alongside. So basically, you'd have Bruno Guimaraes in that Shelvey role, is that more deep line midfielder, and Lucas Paqueta would be one of either Joe Linton or Willock in terms of the ones pressing high, pushing forward. But he scores goals. He scores goals, creates chances, presses high. He's a fantastic player. He would have us playing at the top end, in the top half of the Premier League. Lucas Paqueta, he's that good. He's one of, if not one of the best players in France at the moment. Too good for Lyon. Should be playing Champions League football, just like Bruno Guimaraes. Should be playing Champions League football right now. We have no right to sign him, but if we did, he would certainly want to come to us because of who we've got playing for us currently. In that Brazilian connection, I would absolutely love that. The only thing with Jesse Lingard is that I think he's got an agreement. He's got a secret handshake with West Ham. I think he's going there in the summer, personally. So I don't think we'll get him. Matty Targett, we've just got to be prepared for the Newcastle tax, because I think based on what he's worth, we'll probably have to pay more for him. So a deal that would probably be more around what we paid for Dan Burn in the 13 rising to 15 million. I think we'd probably end up paying 20, and it's whether the ownership would want to do that because he's English and because he's 26 years old, so he's got years to improve. So that's my only issue with Targett and whether we would want to pay that sort of money for him. I would take all three, of course. What about you, Chris?
Same, mate. Yeah, I think the only one I'd have slight reservations over would be Lingard. And the only reason I say that is because I look at the way we're playing at the moment, the way Eddie Howe sets us up, and I'm not sure how Lingard fits in that. I doubt whether he would. Whereas, like you say, Lucas Paqueta, I just think now of having Joe Linton on the left, Lucas Paqueta on the right, and Bruno Guimaraes just holding it, I just think, wow. Matty Targett, 1,000,000% I'd have him in at left back. But yeah, that's how I see it. But yeah, don't get me wrong, I wouldn't be disappointed with Jesse Lingard, but I kind of think that ship's sailed now. I think we're going to be looking at different targets.
Yeah,
no pun intended.
Love it. Right, it's been an absolute pleasure, Chris. The boys have been back with a bang tonight. Chris back on the show. We are straight back into it, and what a show it's been. Absolutely fantastic. You know what? We need to make this question time a regular, where we get questions from the chat, because you guys in the chat put some fantastic questions on. And look, we've probably still got another 5 or 10 we probably could have gone through. It's been that good. So we'll definitely make this a regular feature. Massive thanks to all the guys that came on to chat. It's never easy, but you guys make it easy with some fantastic points raised about Newcastle. Right, we're going to go. We're going to let you guys have a rest. We're going to go and sleep for a week. And hopefully we'll be back on Monday celebrating 3 points, up to 25 in the Premier League, hopefully in 14th place. Fingers crossed. But look, more so than anything, at this moment in time, we're just proud to have a Newcastle team that are fighting and giving everything for the club and for the badge. So great week all round. Have a fantastic week. You guys stay safe with all the bad weather that's out there at the moment. Stay safe, look after yourselves, and we'll see you next Monday. Take care. Speak to you soon.
Hey, guys.
Critics attack. It feels like I've been talking to myself again. But it's